What is it with you? What do you got, a death wish or something?
That's what it takes. I just want to race.
All right, Diesel heads, welcome to episode 33 of the Chronicles of Diesel, the only show that chronicles everything Vin Diesel, his games, his movies, his music. My name is Ethan, and with me here to ride or die, remember, is Devin.
Are you sure?
Yes, Vin Diesel says that to his son, Brian, at the beginning of the movie.
He does.
Yeah.
He does. There's other quotes. There's a lot of solid quotes in this one from multiple characters, but like that one would be the most funny. You say my name, and then I'm like, "Are you sure?" You know.
I feel like Vin Diesel gaslighting his kid is a good quote to go on. So,
It's a gas.
I don't know. Word has a definition that just, it's osmosis is through different meanings that people want it to have, right? So,
Exactly.
I don't even really feel like I know what it is. But yeah, welcome to December. I have an advent calendar going on back here with the knuckles in it so far. It's not really balanced.
That is, I know you texted me it. So it is actual little figures in each one.
Yeah, I didn't take any out. Obviously, I only did just December 1st now. So, he's actually like,
because I think it's a better deal than
chocolate.
the chocolate.
To be fair, I don't think
you're getting all the characters. Oh, you
know
got to
what
tell me
I'll
when you
do
get
with them.
Rouge. I hope Rouge is next.
There's 24 of these. It's supposed to be the lead up until Christmas.
Is
Which is
Sonic
weird. I
gonna be
always thought it was
Christmas?
25. He's on the cover. There's a Sonic figure.
Okay, so he's
there's
probably
at least
Christmas
a
Eve
Sonic
or something.
Yeah. But then you can't really tell from this shot. It actually the different panels, the edges of them, with the way they light catch, it almost kind of looks like it's snowfall, but it's actually not. You can see the little doors there. Some are really tiny and some are big. So I can tell, okay, ones that are around this size are a person, but this one up here is really tiny. Maybe that's just like a ring or a spring or
There's
something.
a couple rings in there. Yeah.
Something like that. So I have that going on. So, as episodes of
exciting.
Sonic Movie Show go on. But next Chronicles of Diesel will be gone. Also, it's the first one we're doing on video. So what's up?
Oh, yeah. I didn't think about that.
Probably should open with that. Like we're on video now. But this is
if
what
you're
we'll
listening
do,
to this, but you always wanted to see your two favorite podcast hosts in the flesh, you can do that now.
Absolutely.
On YouTube.
Yeah. This is how the format looks like during the Sonic Movie Show, our main podcast. So, this is it. This is what we expect to see. As you can see, we are on Twitter at CursonaFun, Ethan Absolutely, and Sonic Movie Show. Why don't we begin, though? Today we're talking about F9, the Fast Saga. But before we do that, why don't we actually go back and look through Vin Diesel's stuff in November? Why don't you hit me off, Devin?
Yeah, so this is your first episode. Well, you picked one of the later ones to listen to / watch. But here on the Chronicles of Diesel, we go do some research into what has Vin Diesel been up to in the last month, and how I find that out. I go on his Instagram because it's a primary source. We don't listen to the news outlets, the mainstream media. All right. We go straight to the source, his Instagram. We do sometimes also pull up articles. We'll actually pull up one at some point here. But he did 4 posts. He actually did more. I'm going to get into that in a second. But he did 4 posts this month. One of them is, I think, Paul Walker's daughter who got married there, I think. 1.5 million likes. That's a lot of likes. Wow. Then another one that's with looks like a really old photo or fan art or something from back in the day, with him and Michelle Rodriguez. It says "Happy Creative," and then the top comment is "Family." We've seen these before. Then I think it's the first picture we've seen of him, but his dad was his birthday.
That's who he is.
a day ago of this recording. It's his 88th birthday. He says, "Happy 88th birthday to my first inspiration, my dad. All love always." And everyone's saying happy birthday in the chat there. And then around here is where, if you follow us on Twitter at Sonic Movie Show or just follow Vin Diesel, you might have seen a post or a couple posts in succession that are missing here. It's because I think he deleted them today. maybe from the press or something, possibly bugging him about it. Maybe, I don't know, but he had posts one of his kids, and it just said Putin in the caption, which was a little odd. Like, I don't know if he didn't finish his thought or if he was trying to say something to Putin with regards to his kids. I don't know. It was confusing. But then he did a video of at a wedding, and then he did another one where it was him at the Lakers game. And Ethan, if you want to pull up that article I sent you, it's him at the Lakers game. He sat behind the Lakers bench. You know, he got that money, probably like $1 in ratio to him to sit behind LeBron James and Anthony Davis. But he was at the Lakers game. They, you know, gave him a little applause there, and Lakers bench was kind of like, you know, acknowledging him. But he grabbed that picture of him at the Lakers game and then posted on Instagram, and there's a screenshot of it in that article that is now deleted, like I said, the post. And it just said, what was it here? Because I just lost the link.
It said
basically...
It said, I need Brittany Griner home before Christmas. Or Griner. However you pronounce her last name.
Griner, yeah. And so for people who don't know, this, I don't want to say it's an old story because it's still happening, and I hope people don't forget
I think it's
about
a
it.
new story to me. I haven't heard of this.
So yeah, it's been happening since, I think, late August. So Brittany Griner is a U.S. basketball star. I think she won a gold medal with the women's team at one point, but she's one of the best women basketball players from the United States. And they were playing in Russia for, I think, either exhibition game or just they were playing a basketball game, her and her team. And she was arrested for having, and this is crazy, less than a gram of hash oil, because marijuana is illegal to have in Russia.
Oh.
So she got arrested for that, and she was sentenced to 9 years in a prison colony for it.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's been kind of a big debate in the sports world of like, why isn't the U.S. doing anything about this? How can they do things to fix this, to get her back? I know the U.S. has offered a prisoner exchange with Russia to get her back, along with another prisoner who's currently jailed for espionage, who's also serving a 16-year sentence. But they're both in prison colonies, which are a lot like gulags during the Soviet Union. So it's harsh labor. It's not just someone in a jail cell. They're doing harsh labor in harsh conditions. But yeah, she admitted to mistakenly packing 2 vape cartridges in her rush to pack her luggage. This is from NPR, by the way. Just a quick quote. But provided documents that showed the hash oil was legally prescribed by her U.S. doctor for pain management. So it in the U.S. she would be good, wouldn't matter. But in Russia, that's a different story. And Russia also, their trials sometimes have been said to be not fair, obviously. So yeah, she's currently somewhere in Russia. So they don't really know where or what colony she was sent to, is my understanding. So, and she's serving her 9-year sentence. And this is for a little bit of weed oil, not even like actual.
When
like
did this happen?
Late August was when she was sentenced. So it's been going on for a little while, but the WNBA, women's NBA, they've been pushing about this and like trying to get her back. And I know Biden has talked about it in the past, which is also funny because he could legalize marijuana in this country and refuses not to. So I kind of feel like you're kind of being like, yay, freedom, but then some other people are still in jail as we speak for about the same amount of weed as her. Regardless, really unfortunate situation, but I wanted to bring this up because Vin Diesel, at least on his social media, hasn't been political in any fashion since we've been following him for this show.
Right.
Like not even like hey, go out and vote, which you see a lot of celebrities do, during election season.
It's very apolitical to say.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Just like he hasn't done that.
Right.
We do know that he's done movies involving like the military and whatnot, so I could argue that is political. But even Fast and Furious really isn't super political in any way. You can
Right.
maybe say like there's some nationalism in there, but it's not like
It's all about
Assassin's
world-ending, electronics and rogue agents.
It's not like Assassin's Creed, like I just said, where they're trying to make a political point or a conversation. He doesn't do that. So I just felt that it was really surprising. And then just happened to be right before we record, I like went back on his Instagram feed, and he deleted all those posts, including the one wedding one. Not the one I mentioned earlier, but there was like a video.
Interesting.
So I just found that interesting. I don't know if maybe the press or maybe he has an agent or something that said like, hey, this is pissing off your Russian fans or something. I don't know why he would delete it, because I don't think anyone would necessarily disagree. Like I said, even Joe Biden is demanding for her release. Who's, like I said, who's someone who doesn't or who could legalize marijuana federally. So this is just a very interesting thing for me, just to see him kind of open up that Pandora's box a little bit, and then he quickly shut it. So that's the main news I have for you. I will say his follower count, because we've been tracking his follower count, has gone up. He was at, I think, 83 point something previously, but now he's at 84.5. He had a slow month last month, but he kind of regained some followers here. So 84.5. I thought maybe we had a shot of getting to 100 before the end of the show.
We still do. Let's get this man 15 million followers.
Get 20 million just to be safe.
I have a question, though. I know obviously we've been tracking how many followers he has. We actually been tracking, or just have you been paying attention to how many people he's following? Has he always been at 80?
He follows 80. I think he's always been at 80, around there. I don't know who he really follows. Yeah, it's Michelle Rodriguez, a bunch of actors here. Jason Momoa, Leonardo DiCaprio. So people in his wheelhouse. So
interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, I haven't seen any more information regarding the Brittany Griner thing related to Vin Diesel, but I mean, it's cool to know that he doesn't, I guess support Russia, I guess.
Right.
At least he's pro weed, which I don't think would have been a shock for a man who lives in California. If you live in California, you'd be
a hypocrite
socially, socially smoke. At least
I will say though, I mean, The Rock would have busted her out himself, so Oh
my god. Oh, you want to start Beefgate? I get you again.
Yeah, we're gonna start the beef up again. But yeah, well, that's good. Thank you for bringing all that to our attention. Let's talk about some fictional drama now. Let's talk about 2021's film F9: The Fast Saga, which I think is its full official title. I still like calling it F9 because I think that's a cooler title.
F9, yeah.
And I feel like there's still this hesitance to just not actually have the branding in the title. You know what I mean? Like the Fast and the Furious, or Fast or Furious, just F9. People know what it is. I'm sure a lot of people that have never seen the movies know it by the Vin Diesel aspect alone, let alone the words.
The family memes were like really popular even after this movie was done in theaters. Like people were just doing the whole family memes. People know who Vin Diesel is, or at least know what Fast and Furious is generally.
But still interesting nonetheless that technically the full title is F9: The Fast Saga. It was directed once again by Justin Lin and was produced by a lot of people.
His last one, which
apparently as of 2022, this is his last one. And I own the Steelbook 4K Blu-ray of it. On it is a director's commentary track that's him. And I almost watched that.
You should have watched it.
But I haven't seen it since theaters, and I wanted at least a refresher before going in. I wish I did, because some of the trivia...
a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff in this movie though that I forgot about. To be honest, it does. Feel like a bit since we watched it.
I completely thought that what's his name, Mr. Nobody. I thought he was just the recording, and didn't realize he was in a flashback or two. So I was like, oh, they really didn't get him in. They did, but he was, just in a flashback. But yeah, some of my trivia actually comes from that. So I didn't watch it. I just other people said it's from that commentary track, so I will believe them. In any case,
Okay.
Justin Lin was our director, along with he was also a producer, along with Neil H. Moritz, who once again is a producer on Fast and Furious, Jeffrey
Got that money.
Kirschenbaum, Joe Roth, Clayton Townsend, Samantha Vincent, and Vin Diesel. The movie had a budget of $200 million, and I want to ask you, Devin, what do you think that the box office was? Post-pandemic?
If this movie came out, yeah, I was gonna say we're still getting back to theaters a little bit here, some social distancing. People still wore masks then, or at least some people did. I'm gonna go with a 700.
You're extremely close. $726.2
Okay.
million US dollars worldwide. Yeah, it's definitely a success. I mean, it made over 3 times its budget. And it's, just keeps furthering the entire brand and all that stuff alone. So, movie, and the fact that we obviously know that there is at least 2 more films coming, it was never going to actually tank, even though, the high of Furious 7 being over $1 billion, they might not reach that again. I say that, but who knows? F10, Fast and Furious 10.
It's tough to know just because the pandemic, you could argue maybe shaved off some of that money, right? On F9, we don't know, and it could have been part of Paul Walker's legacy, celebrating his life. I think that brought a lot of people to the theater too. Because I remember even before we were into Fast and Furious, hearing about F8 and it being a phenomenon of just oh, they did a good job, Paul Walker, blah blah blah. Hearing all about it, and even I knew the song "See You Again" by Charlie Puth. Yeah. So I knew about it. That's how much of a phenomenon it was. So at least where I was at the time. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if it'll crack 1 billion again, but I think the next 2 ones are going to have the best shot at it.
If anything's supposed to be the finale, then I think that's where you get it. Because, there's a 2-parter. We can say the same thing about Avengers, as well as, they split the last Harry Potter book into 2 movies. I don't know what those box offices were, but, I can see that, that being a big deal in that regard. But, yeah, so any case, our main crew returns. I do have one piece of trivia that I will mention in. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is not in this film. He turned it down, as we learned more in history during his Fate of the Furious episode that we did, that him and Vin Diesel had a big falling out. We seem to have a lot of his side of the story public, at least his perception on the other male co-stars he had during that film, which caused him not to want to return. But he would do Hobbs and Shaw. That's the kicker. He'll do other movies in that universe with Jason Statham.
When did that one come out again?
In between F8 and F9. I think it was 2019.
The ending of the movie, for a half second, spoilers, but obviously we're gonna spoil it. In this episode, where Jason Statham is beating the shit out of a guy in a body bag. And then obviously Han's at the door, and it cuts. And for a half second before Han cut, and I'm like, wait, is this how they tie it to Hobbs and Shaw again? I forgot about that. And then no. So
yeah,
we can talk about that more later. But
well, we can actually talk a little bit about it now, because Justin Lin did not do Furious 7 or Fate of the Furious, and but he did do Fast and Furious 6, right? Which ends the credits thing, which I feel like is one of the best mid-credits, post-credits, credit scenes, teasers in general, is when they show Han dying in Tokyo Drift, but it's Jason Statham that blows up his car. I thought that was, incredible, right? Justin Lin did that. He wrote that. He did not return for Furious 7. According to Jason Statham, he was not going to return if Justin Lin didn't do it. But Justin Lin told him, no, you should go in and do it anyway. Justin Lin didn't have any plans for 7 or 8. So they took Jason Statham's character, made him a villain, and then redeemed him. And Justin Lin had no say in that. So he I haven't heard his words verbatim, But supposedly he wasn't super thrilled with the retconning on villain going hero and all that. And he said if Universal played their cards correctly, Han would still be dead. That's what he thinks. It is,
and
the explanation in this movie
once
is...
we get through this movie, yeah, I that's one of my criticisms of this film, but we'll get into it in a bit. But,
right, because now there should be no one dead. No one should be dead. Giselle should be alive. In fact, he wanted to make a flashback movie that's Han and Giselle. So, like, I mean, he's not going to. He's never touching the series again, I don't think. But, like, that's out there in the open. But
maybe Vin isn't there,
yeah.
but...
But in any case, Dwayne The Rock Johnson is not in the film, which doesn't surprise people too much, knowing all the beef stuff. But if he were to be in the film, one actor would not be. Tyrese Gibson, a.k.a. Roman Pierce, said that he would not be in the film if Dwayne The Rock Johnson was in it. And
Damn, there's some like hard like beef,
Yeah.
clearly, between multiple. It's not just him and Vin. It's Tyrese, and I think even I don't know if Ludacris has said something.
Ludacris,
But
Ludacris, Tyrese, and Vin Diesel, like they're one side, and The Rock. Now, if you're Universal and you have to pick between the two of them, you're gonna pick The Rock. I'm sorry, Tyrese. Even though I feel like you are an irreplaceable part of this film franchise, on a business sense, unfortunately, they would pick The Rock.
I mean, that's why Hobbs and Shaw was made.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They saw the chemistry
The Rock
between the two of them.
Bank.
You know,
Yeah.
between Jason Statham and The Rock, and they're like, let's just make a movie. I should have, in my opinion, watched that before watching this, but knowing that it didn't really matter all that much on the impact, I didn't. But because I think we both had said that we didn't think that movie was as good as The Rock and Jason Statham stuff in F8. But
No.
it was still something. And yeah, okay. Well, why don't we open up? And we open up the film to we get a 90s version of the Universal logo.
Which is dope. They should bring that back just permanently.
Justin Lin likes the Universal logo. That's why it was in there. That old version. Although it's and I paid attention to this, it's the current modern version's audio, but it's the visuals of the old one with a Comcast stinger at the bottom added in. But once we get past that, we actually get a really dope One Race logo. I don't know if you saw that. It was kind of like in the Fast and Furious font, but it's just One Race and the lights around it. I thought that's dope. When we get in the film proper, we open to a stock car race in 1989. Jack Toretto, Dom's father, is racing. Jacob and Dom work on the car in a pit stop. Jack tells Dom that it's not about being the stronger man, it's about being the bigger man. And then Jack dies when his car is flipped over and exploded. That's the opening that we all had referenced. We knew his dad died on the track, and we knew that that Dom beat his supposed killer to death with a monkey wrench.
Was it to death, or I don't remember. Was it murder?
He was, because in the first movie, when Brian is, we find out Brian is undercover, and he talks to the detective that was in the TV show Monk. Dude's like, don't fall in love with this guy, essentially. This guy's a killer. He killed a man with a monkey wrench, and that's right. Those are the details that this movie takes.
I knew it. I knew at the very least it was assault.
Yeah. In any case, we get to see young-ish Dom, young-ish Jacob, although technically we're not introduced to him yet. We just a guy named Jacob, but it's John Cena, just way in the past.
Dun, dun, dun.
And do you remember there was the rumors, and like Vin Diesel was the one that did those rumors, that the Toretto father was going to be Sylvester Stallone. You remember that?
Yeah. That would have been interesting.
It would have been awesome. I think this guy maybe fits ethnically close to Dom than maybe.
I don't think it would have mattered.
But at the same time, the movie makes a point to say that John Cena doesn't really look like Dominic Toretto. They said, like, you have wild genes in your family, so mixed, So I guess it could have been anyone, You could have told me Michael Rooker was their father, and I would have believed it enough. You know what I mean?
I ain't your daddy, or no? What's this quote from Guardians too?
He might have been your father, but he ain't your daddy, or something like that.
Or something. He just happens. There's a couple, like with The Rock being the number one guy, but it's funny that like doing this podcast and our video game movie reviews, that some of these characters or some of these actors have just popped in that it almost feels like I'm doing podcasts about them as well. And Michael Rooker is one of them. Because like he's been in Guardians, and I think he was in something else that we saw, but just funny.
Yeah, I think you're right. In any case, now we jump to the present day where Dom and his young son Brian work on a car. Letty joins them, and a car shows up. It's Roman, Tej, and Ramsey. They show them a video of Mr. Nobody's SOS signal from his plane. I liked... here's what I will say. If we can talk about baby Brian here. This kid speaks like a writer wrote it on the page. The kid has perfect sentences. He asks questions that are a bit too eloquently put, as if a writer wrote them. You know what I mean? I don't find the kid believable. That like, and at the end of the movie, I forget what the verbatim was, but Dom is showing the racetrack to Brian, his son, and there are concepts that the kid is just off the cuff mentioning that I'm like,
he's a smart kid.
Yeah,
you just weren't as smart as him as a kid.
Vin Diesel's characters are always just so philosophical as they wane and wax in their tough guy.
It's in the
essence,
genes.
right?
It's in the genes. Yeah.
So exactly, probably just character through there. It's a dumb little nitpick, but like. That was like a perfect take type of scenario where I would be okay if, honestly, as a viewer, if the kid went a bunch before saying something similar to the line, because his brain is, like my dog's. It's not fully developed yet, right? So
I did like his shotgun, by the way. Like I liked the matted look. Just a clean looking shotty.
Yeah,
I'll give him credit for that one.
Yep, and Michelle Rodriguez's character Letty just gets a pistol, but at this point we know Dom always has a shotgun, even at long range. Dom has a shotgun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But to be fair, you just need to get nicked by one of those pellets to get hurt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Doesn't But
as this movie makes a point of saying is they're invincible, so it doesn't really matter what weapons they have. It's like a video game that if they just
I want to know what
their life bar doesn't go down. It doesn't matter
for why they did that, right? Like, why did they mention all this? What point was that trying to make? The build up to the end.
Theme. I think there's a theme of just in this movie of like family being like, I don't want to say invincible, but just like a legacy kind of thing, that like these characters fit the legacy of the family, so they can't die. And if they do die, like their father, that they can still carry on his legacy through them, kind of thing. That's the kind of, I feel like, thematic metaphor they are trying to
I can see that
go with. I think I don't know if that worked well, because they tried to make it comedic at moments, but I feel like that was the general theme of this movie.
I almost wonder.
I wonder if that's part of like F8's transition with like Paul Walker, that like Paul Walker is always going to be part of this franchise,
right,
through us, kind of thing. I wonder if that's part of the thought process for deciding that, or maybe this is a Vin Diesel thing of like how he's reflecting on the franchise as that like we're making a legacy. It's more than Star Wars to them. You know what I mean? This is actual family stuff.
I mean, they call it mythology. They delve into their past, right?
This is our Greek gods of our time.
Yeah.
So,
I just almost wonder if, by calling attention to how ridiculous it is that these people who are not soldiers, who have very little gun training, if anything, are able to survive stuff like this. And I feel like maybe they thought if they pull attention to and make it comedic, they don't get like nitpicked too much on it because they're in on it. I'm not against it, and I do find it gave Roman something to do in this movie, to have something to think about throughout this movie. And when there's a lot of characters in these films, a lot of characters on the team, the crew, right? And not all of them
has an
are
extended
Vin
family
Diesel
at this point.
Right. Not all of them are going to be Vin Diesel like level of importance to the story, but they need to not be doing nothing. There was a couple films where like I swear Tej was just there just to be a computer guy. He didn't actually, I still don't even really think he's had much of anything to bring heart wise, as
he's
opposed
just the
to
other
just
hacker.
being there. And
he's the other hacker who finds a way to solve this random plot thing that
Yeah.
happens.
In any case, Mr. Nobody has an SOS signal. Turns out Mr. Nobody caught Cypher, but she got away. Apparently someone came and stole her. Dom doesn't want to go after her, and Roman makes a point for the audience to remember that she is the reason that the mother of Dom's child is dead. She killed... Her name was... Who was the name of that woman from Fast 5, 7, and 5, 6, and 8? Ooh, what was her name? In any case, the blonde lady. She died, obviously, remember? Yeah, so they made a point to point that out in case you forgot that Michelle Rodriguez is not Brian's father, and therefore, or Brian's mother, and therefore Dom has a reason to want to go after Cypher. Because unless Cypher is targeting any one of them, none of them are they don't owe any governments anything, right? So it's always got to be personal.
I ain't your mother, but I am your mommy.
There you go. There you go.
That's what Michelle
I wouldn't
Rodriguez
have died on you.
That's what Letty said to
Exactly.
Brian, little Brian.
In any case, Dom doesn't want to go after her. But later that night, Letty goes to leave, gives Brian the necklace that Dom had given her in one of the movies. You know, it was 7 when... or 6.
She got her memory back,
6.
or whatever
one it was. He gave that to her as a reminder. This is very important to me. You're taking it now. You know, get back in your head. So she gives it to Little B, and then goes to leave.
Every time he said that, I just think of the rapper, though. I can't. Every time he said Little B, I'm like, Base God? Like, I keep thinking of his freaking Twitter avatar in my head.
Dom eventually decides to go after her when he notices the necklace that he wears is also on somebody in Mr. Nobody's video. Apparently, somehow he's able to do some weird enhanced line up all the things. He's detective, right? So in any case, he decides to chase after them. I will talk about...
Dom had his Batman vision again. That's basically what happened. He did that in the 6th movie or whatever one it was, where he found out how Letty died because he has Batman vision.
Yeah.
Or Sherlock Holmes, the Robert Downey Jr. ones too.
Right.
It's the same thing where he does a flashback internally and he's like, I figured it out.
Yep. And he does it later in this movie in a lucid dream where he realizes things, and I'm like, oh, okay. But, you know, this is how it works.
This one's, I think, even extra soap opera-y than the couple other ones. They all are, but I think this one, like, they dosed it up a little bit extra.
There's one moment in this film I want to bring attention to that is the most soap opera-y, and I love it so much. But, Dom travels up to the plane just as it's taking off. I think this is a good point as any to mention. The car that Dom's driving is my dream car in this film. And what sucks
if I ever
is
get
that
rich, I'll get that one for
it's
you.
not real. Now, they say it's a 1970 Dodge Charger. In fact, it was built out of 19... They built 6 or 7 bodies of this car. But there's like one hero car version they use for certain shots. And a lot of them they use for the stunts. 1968 Dodge Charger, mid-engine. But the body and all that was done by like... There's some car artist named Sean who actually designed the angular look of it, and there's a crew that worked on it. They named the car the Hellraiser, not Hellraiser, but Hellacious. Hellacious is what they called the car. And I'm never gonna like be rich enough to buy a mint looking condition 1970 Dodge Charger. I understand that, but even if I did, well, the car doesn't exist, so it's even more disappointing because that car
made
is,
and all that. Yeah,
dude, I had paused the movie at one shot where Dom's driving by in it, and I'd paused it there. I'm like, I want this to be my wallpaper now, just because this car is perfect. It's just perfect.
You did that. You did that GIF where the guy's just like, just like.
Oh, yeah, the guy that did that. That's the video where he leans back. That's what's his name in Shrek, the little cat. That's that actor.
Puss in Boots. He has a movie out.
Oh, that's great. It's not Vin Diesel though. Any case, we cut to Monte Quinto. I'm just gonna say this right now. That's not a real place.
I was gonna say because
not a real place.
Bryn was like, "Is that real? It doesn't sound familiar." And it's like some loose Spanish, right, or whatever.
Yeah.
At least some Latin language, and I'm just like, I don't think it's real. They also made up like a Kyrgyzstan knockoff in one of the other movies, so like,
Yep.
they're not
I
afraid
wonder
to just
why.
make up shit.
They couldn't say like Chile or someplace, you know. But yeah, it's not real. They filmed all that stuff in Thailand, by the way. So, because one thing I was reading, it was like geographically the types of like mountain ranges and just what the stuff they got going on in Montequito is not in that region of the world at all. So, yeah, so it's in Thailand. They technically went to Thailand. I don't know why they did that. The only thing I could think of is because they wanted that country's military to shoot at them. So therefore they made a place up.
So they're not going to offend anybody.
But like if I'm, if I'm Chile, right? And I'm a government there and I'm like, this is basically us. They just didn't want to name us.
I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true.
You know what I mean? Like they just picked brown people in South America. They picked a government to shoot at them. That's basically us. I would still feel offended if I were them, if that was worth offending.
Oh, yeah. It would definitely be offensive, I think, to everyone, any country in South America, if that's how they were portrayed.
In any case, they find the source of the SOS signal, as well as half of a geometric orb, but are attacked by the local military. Roman gets shot a bunch, but is okay. And eventually they have to drive over landmines. And yeah, I did like the part where his armored vehicle is vertical, jammed between two crevices, dangling over a landmine, and he has to climb out of it. Kind of almost like Paul Walker does in Furious 7, out of the bus or the train, whatever it is, it's hanging off the edge. He has to climb down and out to get out. But yeah, I remember in theaters when we watched this, and like it just falls on him. And we're like, holy shit, they just comedically killed him off. They should have done that. I feel like if you gave him one big scene in the beginning where he talked about, I don't know, I don't feel right, Dom. I feel like I've done too many of these missions, and I'm gonna die. And Dom says, "You're gonna do it." And
then he dies in the most cartoon, Cartoon Network kind of way of just the anvil falls on top of his head,
basically.
kind of thing.
Yeah. But it fell either in front of him or
they set the tone really early in this film by being like, people are just gonna die randomly. It's not even like the bad guy like,
right,
killed them. It's like, no, he just died. His luck did run out,
which is insane. And yeah, they talk about like the fact that he clearly should be dead. But honestly, and I understand they're trying to be really comedic with it, I wish Tej, instead of having some smart ass thing to say, just went up and gave him a hug. Like
there needs to be a little bit less like toxicity.
They're a little bit too antagonistic to each other, even though like that's a part of their relationship. I do need to see a little sincerity of like, you get that at the end, but like give him a hug. He died. You know what I mean? You watched him die.
Literally like 20 dudes with AKs point blank missed him somehow. And I love how like he had like bullet holes, but then like he had a bulletproof vest on. But I just like the idea that like it just didn't hit him. He Nathan Draked his way out of that situation.
He invested all of his skill points into defense. All right. Or what was it? The old trailer for the Netflix Marvel show, Luke Cage. I just remember he gets shot a bunch, but he's invincible, and he walks into a liquor store and gives his bullet hole ridden jacket to a dude there for something else. The guy's like, awesome. It looks like I was in a fight. I don't know. That reminded me of it. I don't know. Any case, as they're driving over the landmines, we also, this is leading up to this, Roman's like, my car doesn't go 80. I can't go that fast. I thought that was maybe going to lead to some, like, we need to do something, like, push him or something, but no. They literally say, fuck it, just try. Which, like,
if you die, you die.
Goodbye.
If you die, you die.
You picked an armored vehicle, man. It's the choice you make. You don't want to pick a motorcycle like Michelle Rodriguez. One of those landmines would send her flying to her death if she rolled over it at a weird angle. You know what I mean?
But she went too quick.
Whatever. Nearby, John Cena, Jacob Toretto, is watching. And then we cut back to Roman almost dies to a landmine and his car landing on him.
This is at the point in the film where, so like actually the last time we recorded for our Sonic movie show episode, what was it, 152? I was wearing my Peacemaker sweatshirt.
Okay.
Which is has his face on it, but like I was wearing it because I watched F9 before recording that episode, and it was like at that point that I coincidentally matched for the movie. Where I'm like, oh, I'm wearing John Cena.
So you should have worn it right now. What are you doing?
I know.
Pull it out in the laundry and do it. Come on.
I should have.
If we had a break, like planned out in this type of show, because he's gone for like a couple hours, and
yeah, we should maybe one of these days at a break.
We're good. Like yeah, okay, I have maybe about a third of this left, but next episode we might be actually drinking real beer. So who knows? Jacob chases after, gets the SOS device, and Dom and Letty then go into pursuit. Eventually Jacob flies away and the crew jumps a bridge.
Which was, I remember seeing this in theater, man, like, this is so ridiculous. I love it. My boy John, he just gets scooped up and he's gone. Whoop.
It's like in those movies where, parts in movies or stories where like you're on a rooftop and you're cornered and you're like, I can fly. And then, Yuna then falls backwards out. She escapes her wedding in Final Fantasy X, Devin. She falls off the roof of the chapel or whatever that they were on because her summon, the giant thing with wings, was waiting down there and catches her and he flies it away. It happens in movies all the time, right? Someone jumps off and it's their spaceship or something like that, or a plane or something like that. This is the car version of that. Drives a car straight off a cliff for a plane to swoop up and grab and fly him away, which I love. And then, then the most ridiculous thing ever happens where just Dom's like, I'm going to get the cable stuck into our tire well.
He calculated it.
So that it... And then, like, I remember thinking in the theaters, and I thought it again here, they're not going to do it, but it'd be comically hilarious if they crash in the cliff and just die. But... They do crash.
They kill off all the main cast, and actually, this has nothing to do with them.
This is like it's Ramsey, Jacob, and
then little Brandon grows up to plot his revenge.
We get a 15 years later thing. You know what I mean? Brian's
maybe
had
that's what
his
they're do
license for a year or two.
Maybe they do that in Fast X.
Ooh, they could do a time jump. I wouldn't be against it.
I want old man Dom. Yeah. He has a gray beard.
That's how I
like bearded. I like bearded Vin Diesel. I liked him in what was it, Last Witch Hunter there with his goofy ass beard. Yeah. So give me a like, just gray bearded Dom in the next one, please. Him raising his son.
That would be a satisfying end if they ended it, and because they're old. Like senior citizen, we reached the actual time where everyone says we would love to have a law that says you can't drive over a certain age. We reached that point. They're just not allowed to drive anymore. They're that old. So yeah. In any case, we're on the other side of the bridge. It's one of these moments where if we just cross the border, the local government that's shooting at us and trying to arrest us won't chase us. But knowing how many, at least in other movies, let alone in real life, how many countries, especially America, works, they don't care about that. They will still cross the border and get you. If they feel like they won't get caught themselves, they would 100% do that. And Monaquito's not real, so we don't know what its borders, you know what I mean? So, in any case, as the crew...
To be fair, it kind of looked like they did die. The way like their car wound up looking like at the end. So if I was in the helicopter, I'd be like, they look dead to me, whatever. And the other guy just got swooped away.
Yep.
So it's been a long day. I'm just gonna go home.
Didn't the plane turn invisible like Wonder Woman's jet?
Yeah. It literally Avengers their way out of there. I don't know.
In any case, I say that so much. I gotta stop that. As the crew recollects themselves on a plane, we get a flashback about Jacob and Dom after their father's death, and it's kind of sweet, I guess. We get to see a lot of their interactions. Back to the present, Jacob meets with Cypher in her captivity. Jacob is looking for the other half of the sphere-like device he stole from the crew, and Cypher is playing along for now. they give her a keyboard that's from pre-internet, but they still want her to be able to hack into like a database that they don't
Something like that,
remote.
yeah, I don't-
So like, I feel like that's
We
one
should
of
have
those.
gave her like a Nintendo Switch or something, or a PSP. I think that would have been really funny.
That'd be a funny like product placement. Actually, this movie does have product placement. Besides the cars and all that stuff, there is a phone company. I didn't write their name down. Doesn't matter. They paid for a lot of
They're
production.
really good at product placement. If you don't
They're
remember.
so good that they spent a lot of money on it and went out of business. By the time the movie came out, those smartphones don't exist anymore. Whatever company
that's
that
so
was.
baller.
So yeah, they're gone.
That's how I want us to go out. We should put all our money into a Sonic Movie Show ad and then just never do an episode again.
Yeah.
It's like a time capsule.
Yeah, I think having her be pre-internet is supposed to like give an excuse for audience members to let go of the fact that she could probably hack her way out of it still. She's just playing along, whatever. But in any case, I just said it again. I say this every time I go to a new paragraph I wrote.
It's your quip.
No, I don't like it. We are now in the Caspian Sea. The crew go to a secret hideout. There, they get to work gearing up and setting the place up. Roman tells Tej and Ramsey that he should be dead several times by now, and they laugh it off. No one's like, oh man, our man is having perhaps some PTSD crisis type stuff, and we're making fun of him. But, you know, that's the tone of these movies, so.
Also considering they have had people die. Like,
Right.
up until this point, they know Han has died.
And Giselle,
You know what I mean?
dead.
And Giselle did die during a mission.
Yeah. And
So-
Cypher, Roman at the beginning of the
And
movie
like, yeah, so
says,
like to them be like,
she
you're
killed the
fucking
mother
dumb.
of your child.
You're such an idiot, bro.
Yeah, you're not gonna
Like,
die.
I
That'd be
don't know. Like
dumbass.
we did. I just think I'm lucky. Oh, dude, dumbass. So toxic. Yeah, I'm on team
Team Roman.
Roman for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Mia shows up when we learn about Project Ares, the two halves it was split into, and the activation key
Kind
required
of like
to
the
use
Sonic
it.
Island in Frontiers, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the second island, right?
So I have to tie it back to Sonic because of our
Right.
namesake.
Yeah,
once in a while,
Sonic.
so.
Sonic's always going to be a part of the show
He's
somewhere,
there.
right? So
Yeah.
yeah. The crew plans to split up. We get another flashback where Dom meets Leo and Santos in prison, and then he gets out of prison, just however long it was. He killed someone. And he does not look
Yeah.
older. It was like maybe a year. So maybe he got off for good behavior. Oof, whatever. And he goes to a street race where Jacob is a local celebrity. There we also see in the background, behind Dom, younger versions of the crew from F1. There was a young
I forgot about this.
Mia.
Yeah. And it was pretty
Ron-
cool.
Yeah. Even the kid, like the
hacker.
the kid
guy.
that like might have had like severe ADHD or like a learning disability, but like really smart with computers. Remember that guy?
Yeah, he was
gets
like their
killed?
hacker before.
Yeah,
Tej.
Tej. And then he gets killed in that movie. There's a version of him.
He gets like Tech 9 from
Yeah,
the
yeah.
drive-by, right?
Yeah.
It's just awful.
Yeah, that's that shot in that movie where what's his name, Johnny, on the motorcycle looks behind with the Tech 9 pointing at it. It's on the cover of one of my steel books of the movie. It's like in the comic book.
Damn.
Yeah, of him about to kill a
Now
main
I think
character.
about it, that's one of the most gory scenes in these movies, and it was in the first one.
Yeah, that's when it was real. None of this fake shit. You know what I mean? Anytime they film these people driving, it's all fake. Those aren't real cars. Aren't even
Wait,
real
what?
people. Yeah. But yeah. Jacob, this is what confuses me a little bit, the timings of this. In this time where Dom has been in prison, Jacob is a street racer, local celebrity, right? The
Yeah.
crew is assembled. Now, granted, they weren't like kids that lived with their dad and didn't have friends. They had friends, I'm sure. I'm sure Dom knew those people before that moment. But like all those people know Jacob. No one will stick up for Jacob. And just the fact that like, and I understand that they did not plan on having him have a brother for most of these films. I would say maybe during 8 they had the idea. Maybe as early as 7 they had the idea, maybe. But obviously this is a retcon in terms of intention on the actors and the characters and whatnot. But still, none of those people ever bring him up or anything like that. I just find it weird, because like, you know, our crew today, none of them knew he had a brother besides Letty, who was in that original crew. So he never told Roman, never told Brian, never told, you know, any of them, right? But still, there's still some of those people from those first movies that still like knew he was around. So I feel like if he was like there's only like 2 people that knew, then that's a secret. But like, dude was a local celebrity. There was another Toretto racing in LA. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I think they would have been like, oh, the Toretto brothers used to be a thing or something like that. Yeah.
But that's a nitpick that's not super fair, because I feel like, who gives a shit for this type of movie? Literally, who gives a shit? And they do enough around it to be like, yes.
Honestly, it buys more into the soap opera-ness of this whole franchise, where you just have to suspend your logic of some of the plot points, and it will just reward you, and it'll be cool. It's fine. So I wasn't too upset, but anything, I was just like, yeah, this is what you would see like at 4:00 on ABC. You know, this is what my mom watched when I got home from school, where it was like, you cheated on my half brother that I didn't know I had until last episode. You know, just whatever. You know, it's cool. Whatever.
Yeah. Actually, Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman, who died very recently, came from the soap opera world, and that's why they picked him, because he was dramatic and everyone else wasn't. So, yeah. Cool. So yeah, he races Jacob. And he tells Jacob, well, Dom tells Jacob that if Jacob wins, then he can be back in the family. But if he loses, he has to never show his face again. Keep on driving.
So fucked up.
It's
so fucked up.
Because he's under the impression that Jacob sabotaged the car and got him killed.
And Jake, if he just said that, Jacob could have been like, "No, I didn't."
But we learn later, their father made Jacob promise not to tell Dom.
Yeah, but I would have said something. If it means not seeing my family again and having to leave town, I don't got that money.
And Dad's dead, you know. You have to eat. You know what I mean? You have to eat.
Leave town.
You know?
Okay, I guess I'm selling this car is wherever I'm moving.
Yeah. At least he didn't lose the car, right? It wasn't one of those types of races.
If anything, he must have that. He's just built different, anyways, because he winds up turning that opportunity into becoming like one of the top secret agents in the U.S. military or whatever, something like that.
Oh, I forget when this was. Oh no, it was Helen Mirren. Our character says to Dom, "Oh, there's this guy. He's not your brother, or whatever. Was you?" And she says like same height, same build, and stuff. Like, no, John Cena's taller and built more than Vin Diesel. Sorry. When they stand next to each other, John Cena's taller than him. You know.
John Cena he's not as big as The Rock.
Right.
If we're gonna like rank them, but like
rank the men.
John Cena is like stupid muscle. Like he's
stupid and muscles.
Not like even in Peacemaker when he has like his shirt off and shit. Like the dude is insane. Like I don't know, just another level.
Yeah.
I just don't get it sometimes. I look at my body and I'm like, how?
I look at my body and I say, why? Back to the present, Dom visits Buddy, a.k.a. Michael Rooker, the man that worked with his father in the shop, and asked him where Jacob is. Apparently, Dom has never gone to visit Buddy.
So fucked up.
At all.
Yeah, I'm starting to think Dom is kind of like he preaches family, but only for like his friends.
Yeah.
and his sister. That's about it.
Yep. Any case, fuck, I just did it again.
We're on number what, 4?
I think we're on like 7, to be honest. Michael Rooker, aka Buddy, tells him that he took care of Jacob. We find out later it was for a year, and then you two of you need to make some peace or you're gonna die. And he says, "That peace died, like when my father died.
The peace died long ago."
Yeah. In
It's
Tokyo.
very Batman-y when I think about it. Back to the Batman.
Oh, and back to the Batman. Dom's car in this movie, fuck it, that's better than the Batmobile. in the Batman movie, because the Batmobile was this
No.
type of hot rod. You know what I mean? Just with extra shit on it. So.
I don't know. The Batman, the Batmobile. I have to like say the Batman. I like the more gothic aesthetic, but I'm a goth guy, so deep down. So.
You're not goth. In Tokyo, Letty and Mia search for clues on what Han was doing. This scene was put in here because Michelle Rodriguez was complaining that previous Fast and Furious movies were failing the Bechdel test, and that the women were talking to each other about other male characters only, and like not anything else. So Justin Lin made sure there was at least a scene where two women talk to each other about their lives and not their men. So, yeah, that's why this is in there. And then they see a Mexican flag.
Fast and Furious is I don't want to say come a long way, but
They used to throw the F word in the earlier movies.
yeah,
right?
like we've come a little bit
Yeah,
away
yeah.
from that.
I think also too, like, to be fair a little bit, the ratio of men to women is mostly in the men's favor, and they killed one of the women off. And so there aren't that many left. And they added one in with 7, to be fair. I guess they, netted even in the end. But none of them, besides Michelle Rodriguez, are, like, main characters. So, like, they're all a bunch... The same thing that you could say, like, Tej doesn't talk about women. You know what I mean? But Tej doesn't really have anything meaningful either. So while I'm not going to defend, that, 'cause I believe it, I believe that it's something people might not think about when they write some of these films. You know what I mean? So that is what it is. But I can also see why it wouldn't have been. It would have been probably scenes that were cut. Like how much? Like there's a lot of people. Is this actually pertinent to pushing the movie forward, or can we save 5 minutes here and 5 minutes there? So I don't know. But in case he put this in there, just because Michelle Rodriguez complained about 7 and 8 primarily. Apparently he disagrees, or he doesn't think that was the case during his movies, because he did 6 and 5 and 3. So he thinks that maybe she was complaining about 7 and 8. Maybe he's just hoping. But yeah, that's what they were doing in Tokyo, just talking for the sake of making an argument. And then we cut to Cologne, where Roman and Tej meet Sean and his friends from Tokyo Drift. They work on rocket engines. It is, I believe that's supposed to be Bow Wow still.
it is Bow Wow.
Still, right? It's not like it's a different
Yeah.
person.
No, it is Bow Wow.
And it was, and the other guy was from Tokyo Drift as one of the mechanics. Kind of said there were other people there, but maybe for simplicity's sake, they only wanted to have Bow Wow with him, and then maybe they pick one person. But it'd be cool if they still had the crew, and they're rocket scientists, so to speak, and they're trying to make cars really fast with the rocket. We don't really get a reason as to why they're doing that. Like, what's their reason? Because that's a lot of money that they're spending on it, and they don't look like they have money. You know what I mean? So who knows? Also, like, Shane...
That's for Tokyo Drift too. Don't worry about it. We'll figure it all out then.
Lucas Black is the name of Sean, the actor's name. He looks so old in this movie. Like, something happened between... Because he was in Furious 6.
I want to call him
Furious
old,
7.
but
He was playing a high schooler when he was not in high school in Tokyo Drift. But he still looked like he could pass, maybe, if they tried better.
I was going to say late college.
Yeah.
Graduate school.
Yeah.
Like, I'm getting my doctorate, maybe. But I don't think they could have... I don't know if he was... I think the plot needed to be worked differently with where he was from. But
or,
it doesn't really matter.
really put a lot of makeup and give him a wig. Because he was in Furious 7, remember? Dom visits him briefly because Fast and Furious 6 had...
remember that.
Fast and Furious 6 has the credit scene where Jason Statham's character, Shaw, kills Han. And then the beginning of 7 is him getting that call, so he then goes and... That's when he then goes to Tokyo,
right, yeah.
gives us the credit scene for Tokyo Drift. So that's in Furious 7. But they didn't just reuse like that scene. They reused that scene, and then he talks to him, and that was filmed for that movie. So he was in that movie, and he didn't look this old. Something happened between then and now.
Because he's been doing all the NCIS...
Probably.
New Orleans.
Probably.
Probably doing a
Working
bunch of
TV
episodes
is
back to
probably
back. He's
stressful.
tired.
Yeah. I still feel like they could have done something to make him look more age appropriate, but I almost said it. In any case, they make fun of how his friend used to go by the name Twinkie, which is cool. But yeah, they're like, we need cars, and Dom sent us. So then we get the, and then the other guy says, who's Dominic Toretto? I thought that was funny. Yeah. So we now are in London. Dom meets the Shaw's brother's mother. I forget what her character's name was, so that's what I wrote down. But it's played by Helen. She's played by Helen Mirren, and she takes him to Jacob. She had a cool scene. She stole a necklace.
So based, and then just stole a car.
Yeah,
and she's driving. I love that they make her drive it. Like, and then she's like, "Can you hold or can you grab the e-brake for me? Could you?" And then like she's like drifting around the corners and stuff. I just thought it was really cool, and the car is pretty sick too. So
yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, and then they're having a all women party. And wear white, please.
They were all hired apparently. By his name is Otto. I never wrote him actually in this at all because I didn't know what his name was until like 90% of the way through the movie, and I'm like, I don't care. He's Jacob's partner. But yeah,
he's the billionaire.
He's
guy.
the asshole rich kid. But yeah, Jacob is there. Jacob has people take Dom away. They kind of posture in front of each other. We get a little bit of "this is my world" type of stuff that Jacob does. Jacob has people take him away, but secretly these people are undercover. They are Cardi B and her girl bosses.
Yeah. I totally forgot about this, and so I'm like, oh yeah, Cardi B's in this.
And like I had to look because I'm like, wasn't there someone in F8? Wasn't there an all-women thing in F8 or something like that? And like, no, because she's not in F8. Who is this person? She's just someone Dom knows. It's just
Dom knows a lot of people. There's a lot of people in the family, but not his actual family, like I said.
Right.
Clearly. I want to say though, one of my favorite like action movie things, or just drama. I've seen it in like drama films too, or whatever, where it's like the good guy or the bad guy, doesn't matter, walks in and the guy's waiting for him. That's like one of my favorite like movie things that I just find so like
he
cool.
Already
no matter how
knows
many
that
times
it's
done. Yeah, I just love that shit where like
Jacob knew the footsteps. Yeah.
I love that shit. Yeah. I don't know who did it first, but it's been in so much shit.
Probably in like some Western or something, right?
Yeah. Yeah. A guy sitting at the bar, the cowboy comes in.
Click clank, click
I've been
clank.
waiting for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The saloon's
Shit's
empty.
so cool.
Back in Tokyo, we meet Han after a fist fight in his home. I assume that was his home. Mia and Letty see this young girl who knows their names. Mia, Letty, watch out! And then they all fight, and they do a bunch of cool dance moves and stuff, and they fight.
The choreography, I think, for this is pretty good.
Yeah.
Compared to some other fighting we've maybe seen over the last couple ones here. I feel like they actually like showed them fighting. It isn't just quick close up, screen moving kind of things. That they're actually like doing some martial arts, or at least
something.
They're grabbing the pan and they hit him with the pan. It looks like they actually got hit. Like cool.
And I think it's crucial too because they got Jordana Brewster back for this movie, and she doesn't do much in this movie, actiony, besides this. So they probably felt that they needed to give her something to do to get their money's worth. You know what I mean? But yeah, Han snipes a couple of the remaining people, and we get a reveal. And I don't like the fact that he cut his hair. He feels off.
You on team cut hair?
I'm not on team cut hair Han.
He had to change his hair so he doesn't look...
his face is the same.
Him. Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean?
I mean, I overall... Here's one thing. About... I think it's time we talk about the Han situation. Is it cool he's back? Sure. Is he one of the reasons why I think people like Tokyo Drift? Sure. I think we talked about that a while back. And I think it does set that precedent. If he survived that... They did a twist on a twist. The twist was that he didn't just crash. Shaw brother did it to get revenge. Okay. Never mind, he didn't even know he got revenge. So actually, all that fighting that we did in that one movie with him in it wasn't, I guess you could argue, isn't validated because he never actually died.
Yep.
Mr. Nothing used
Mr. Nobody.
Mr. Nobody used the family, the Dom gang.
Yep.
Got them in their feelings to go after this guy
It's the set
and
of the
kill
movie.
his brother.
Yeah.
It's just a whole
Yeah.
thing. It just is interesting. Here's another thing I have with this. I kind of wish we knew that he was going to be back in it in the trailers. I wish they just didn't do it.
Same, dude. And the way the trailer first does the reveal is when he walks into the Caspian Sea base. It's a nice clubhouse you got here. I misremembered. I thought that's how he was introduced to the movie. That's how he should have been introduced in the movie. Then you have a flashback where, like, Letty and Mia are like, guess where we found him? You know what I mean? Like, that would have been more fun as opposed to, like, because when you start bringing Han's name and you have a photo of him that I don't think was from another movie, you know, and they're like, they introduce Han lore. Oh, he always called Tokyo his Mexico, and the cowboys race for the border, you know, the race to the Mexican border, they're safe. Tokyo they add in all this stuff, so you're already thinking, oh, are they going to bring him back? And then when they do reveal him, it's like shadowy and dark, and you can like barely see his face, and he doesn't have the hair. And then I'm just going to throw this out here. What does he do in the movie?
He drives the car a couple times.
His plot purpose was to introduce a MacGuffin, a literal child that he's been, you know, raising because she was 11 at the time. He's been raising her. She's the activation key. But besides that, his plot doesn't serve any purpose. I'm glad he's back.
You know what they could have done? What they could have done is if they wanted to keep the MacGuffin in there, or that he protected the child, maybe they could have retconned that into Tokyo Drift, that he kept it so secret that he doesn't mention it at all in Tokyo Drift, but that's what he was doing. And then he does actually die. And then you have her coming to them being like, Han told me to go to you. I've been looking for you for years.
Yeah, and
I
you're
also
right.
didn't want to show myself. I think that would have been more interesting, being like, let Han stay dead. Sorry to the actor and whatnot, and to all the fans. But I think it would have been more interesting if they let him die, but they still kept that MacGuffin that, like, yeah, he saved my life. He kept me protected and he kept me a secret for so long, but he told me if something ever happened to him, I need to find you all. But I didn't want to show myself because I was afraid I would be targeted.
Because I don't trust anyone.
But
Because
you
then
found me.
You have a piece of
me.
Han in the story still. Like, he raised her. Granted, we
and
never get
and that goes with the
scenes,
legacy
but still.
theme. The legacy
Absolutely.
theme that I think they're
100%
trying to
with you.
push of, like, hey, Paul Walker's character is still in this legacy. My Dom's dad is still part of the families. His legacy is there. We hold his memory, so his legacy is still there. That would have been cool to tie in.
Yep.
But I feel like they just wanted to bring him in just because they knew he was kind of a cult character.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, it's just going to be... And like you said, now it just sets up the precedent that anyone can come back.
Yeah. Giselle needs to come back. That's my assumption, is she will be back. Because let's face it.
She got caught by the plane that caught John Cena.
Han
Actually, you just didn't see it.
exploded and he's alive. Giselle tumbled on a runway. She was never run over. They just didn't go back for her. We never see that, so that's what they'll say, is that we just assume you died or something. Like, I would assume they drove
harder.
back and got
That would
her.
be even harder retcon. You know what I mean? That, like,
Here's the other thing too.
She comes back as like a cyborg because she got freaking splattered all across the pavement falling out of that airplane.
No. They weren't in the air. The plane was still on the fucking runway. She just falls off and rolls away.
She falls on top of a car because we know that works.
There's some hilarious versions of that in this film.
Yeah.
Again, going back to the Mr. Nobody thing, it's just like the intentions of the characters in the older films was Dom and Mia. There's no other brother. Like, that wasn't even a thing. Maybe they thought of it a couple movies ago as an idea for a future movie. Back in 2001, not the idea. Back in 2003, Han was not undercover. Back in 2015, when they made Furious 7, Mr. Nobody was not utilizing them and lying to them about Han being alive, because Justin Lin did not plan that, as we know, right? So that retcons, that guy is an asshole now. Sorry. Mr. Nobody is an asshole.
He always kind of was, but
yeah,
now
but
he's like extra. Yeah.
He manipulated them to get what he wanted. You know what I mean? And I understand now in this retcon, Shaw thought he killed Han. Therefore, the events still play out the same. I get it. That doesn't change that dynamic. It doesn't, but it also makes it easier for them because in 8, they just forgive him. Dom trusts him to save his baby. You know what I mean? They invite Shaw to the barbecue at the end. Now we'll make it okay because Han's alive. He didn't kill him. Han was my favorite part of 4, 5, and 6. And 3, obviously 3. He's, I love that character a lot. He died though. You wrote it in that he died. You made a story effort to say that he died for a reason. You don't literally make him vanish in thin air as a reason why he's alive, let alone bring him back at all.
I was, and then going into this scene too, I was trying to remember. I'm like, was there like a sewer or something that they like a sewer?
That's what I thought we remembered.
He got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
It's just a wipe. Out. Like, it's literally a wipe, and he's gone. And then he's standing
is he
behind
a hologram?
Mr. Nobody.
Like it's so like I wish they like.
They needed a more.
I would have believed it more.
Yeah.
If they just like, it was a hologram, I'd be like, sure.
Because
I guess.
He
was never in the car. It was a hologram. He was driving it remotely somewhere.
Yeah, it was a drone car. We need that, right? Fast and Furious 6's retcon of him dying, they edited it in such a way where it still felt believable. That it wasn't just that he rolled his car after drifting through Shibuya crossing and rolled and car exploded and stuff. They show in a way where there was a side street where Shaw's car is driving through and hits him, and he's gone before the character Sean and all of them see that. So they just see him from afar and he explodes. That's how, like, that retcon is edited in a way where, like, I totally believe that. That's why I think that credit scene is one of the best of all time, because it's badass way to be like, yeah, this character, he's gonna have to die because we've been doing all these movies that take place before Tokyo Drift because we just want to keep him in the movies. And sorry, we're sending him away now. You know what happens to him, but do you? And now it's tied into the 7th. That's dope and awesome. And just to have freaking Escape from New York, what's his name? Mr. Nobody, Kurt Russell. There we go. Kurt Russell being like, I hired him. And he was undercover for me. Very dangerous. He's been raising a kid the whole time. So he fucks around with high school kids and teaches them how to drift and gets into the local Yakuza for no... So that changes Tokyo Drift now because that dude would not do that. It already didn't make that much sense if, like, he was doing such high-level shit with Dom and crew, why he would be in such, like, low, boring shit, in Tokyo Drift compared to... what he was doing. But now to be like, and he was secretly undercover the whole time, I don't buy that. I don't buy it. I feel like it's lame. I understand they did the best that they could do, but they needed 15 more minutes to explain the entire reason why he's alive. I legit believe that. They needed 15 minutes.
Yeah. And then, like, they brought him back, and he's not, like you said, he's not sacrificing himself or giving him, like, a huge part of, like, the plot. He's just kind of there. And then because when he gets back, he's talking, and then John Cena's like creeping right he's not creeping and they put him in there, but it's just it's kind of funny just seeing him like in the shadows, just like looking through the
that's the part where I'm like, this is so soap opera, because Jacob has to watch Dom be reunited with family. And he feels how he doesn't have that, as Dom has everything. I love that part. You brought up Han sacrificing himself. That would have been awesome. He dies in this movie for real. That'd be cool if they did that, or like he sacrifices himself legit. That'd be cool.
He goes to the moon. He goes to the moon and
yeah, and has
dies
to die,
in the satellite.
You know,
even though that would be so goofy. Like,
yeah, whatever.
I don't know. Yeah, it was. I think a missed opportunity.
He
or
better
just
be used
the
like
wrong
crazy
decision.
in the next movie. They need to make it worth it. Make it worth it. Justin Lin,
And I think there needs to
you're
be
not in
some
these
sort
movies
of
anymore.
I think there needs to be. I'm not saying Game of Thrones level, but just like I think there needs to be some consequences.
Incest. Oh, sorry, consequences.
No, not that. Not just there needs to be just like killing a character makes action moves I think even better, because then you're like keeps you more on edge. Be like, is this it?
Yep.
Like honestly, like if Dom dies, for example, in part 1 of Fast X, that would be interesting. No way they're gonna do it, but it would be interesting. But at the same time, I also know at this point, based off all these last 3 movies, is that they have their core cast. It's a soap opera with action car stunts.
Yep.
And that's just what it's going to be. They're not going to make it. They're not going to try to do too much with it. They will bring people back because they're just popular.
There's no scene where they have a funeral for Giselle. There's no scene where they have a funeral for Dom's father. They could pull that shit on him if they really wanted, and he's back. Oh, and he's really old and looks like Sylvester Stallone now.
It does the swipe. He's burning in the car. They swipe, and then it's like, Mr. Nobody's the same age. Even
Actually,
then, he's just like, I hired him.
Oh yeah,
I hired your dad to fake his death because I knew 25, 30, 40 years later that you're gonna work for me, and I'm gonna fake this guy. Like that. Honestly, I want that now. I want Fast X to start with like your dad faked his death so you can kill a man, so you can go to jail, have some like, you know, harsh upbringing to make you tougher, and then now you're doing all like that'd be so crazy. I'd be like, fuck it, sure.
You know, I talked about they didn't hold the funeral for Giselle on camera or for the dad, so therefore they can say they not died. They did that with Letty though, when she died. They had one for her. There was no casket. It was a grave. So
yeah.
When they decided to bring her back, they retconned it in their heads so that then we never found a body, I guess. And so it was just it wasn't an actual burial. It was just like a tombstone was placed. That's how they would have had to have retconned that. Thankfully, they didn't show.
Like Kill Bill
or like
style,
Uma Thurman.
like,
yeah.
Just like
Mythbusters did an episode on the Punch. I remember that.
Do it.
Like, no, you're gonna die. Also, like air displacement, digging out is not possible. Like, but it was also scary as fuck to be buried alive.
Very.
Yeah.
I know. Back in the day, they used to like leave like a string tied to a bell above your grave for the first couple weeks.
Oh.
Because people would go in comas and they didn't know they were dead, and people would wake up and they would ring the bell to tell them to come dig them up.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
humans
scary.
Humans and burials. There's a lot of cool.
Do you see that there
shit.
there are companies that do funeral services, or they get attached to a funeral service. I don't know exactly how it works. Where and there's a company that has a license from Disney to have a speaker in the casket with a wire that goes out of the casket up through the dirt to what looks like a flower, but it's a little solar panel, so that their favorite Disney song plays down there forever. It's so fucked. It's so fucked.
And you wait, and you wake up, and you're like, you think it's the bell to ring the thing, and it's like just playing.
It's a small world after all. Or whatever. Like,
and that's your last moments. You're like, I didn't actually like this song.
I hate Disney.
I hate Disney. What the fuck?
I told him I liked Shrek. God,
what I like
so
about
fucked.
You is just playing
All
in the coffin.
We need to get back on track with this movie. There's like 3/4 of the movie left.
We could go. We'll go quicker.
In Edinburgh, Dom and Ramsey are tracking Jacob with Tej and Roman. Meanwhile, Jacob breaks into the vault to steal the other half of the Ares device. Man, I kept writing "have" as HAVE and not HALF. I've been noticing this now. The other half of the Ares device. As Ramsey starts to help Roman and Tej get out of the van. That's right, because Roman and Tej just attack two dudes that have cauliflowered ears. Dom spots Jacob on the longest zip line known to man. I understand.
Well, he has the gun, though. But...
I understand. When I wrote this was before we see him shoot it. Because when you see him ziplining and Dom sees him, and then we cut to other people, and then we cut back to Dom catching up, and he still sees him ziplining, and I'm like, this is one longest zipline. But then he lands because he's clearly set up points, which is cool. But the way it was edited, I'm like, man, this guy's on a really long zipline across the city. That's like a mile-long tether. That's why I left it in there, because I'm like, it's funny. A bunch of action stuff happens, and eventually Dom catches up to Jacob by flying out of nowhere to tackle him mid-zipline. Just like
great.
the Fast and Furious 6 car jump, I feel like. This
is good, because you're not really expecting it. All of a sudden, it just comes out of the side of the screen and just throws him. And then this part is the closest we'll get to Dom fighting a guy his size, if not bigger, like we saw with The Rock and whatnot. And I missed this. And I think they really tapped into John Cena's wrestling capabilities, because lots of grabs. There's not this part, but later on when he's wrestling that other big guy, John Cena's wrestling the other big guy. He literally does I don't know what it's called. If I watched wrestling, I'm sure I'll know the name of it. But
grab your skeleton behind you and act it out.
I'm just saying, he kind of crosses his body while he's on the ground. It looks like he's about to do a whatever that move is where you put the leg over your shoulder.
Okay.
But a lot of the moves just remind me of clips I have seen of John Cena wrestling. I actually saw this clip on TikTok the other day where it was during Christmas, back when John Cena was wrestling, and the guy's pointing. John Cena's pointing at a big gift box next to the ring, and he's pointing at it all happy. And he's like, "Oh, I wonder what's in it," and he opens it up, and it's a chair. And I'm like, "That's fucking amazing." But I just really like the scene where they're throwing each other, and I think John Cena loves to be thrown through walls and shit. I think
there's a couple parts where he grabs Dom, and Dom's head is this, Dom's head is here,
choke lock,
and he runs into a door so that Dom's head bashes through the door frame and stuff, and then Dom picks him up. And he has him up high, and he runs him through the top of another door frame. So just pieces of this
and then Dom
building.
throws John Cena into a bookcase or some shit with a bunch of shit on it, and it just collapses all over him. And
out and then out a window.
And he does this too, and he did this a lot in Peacemaker as well, where just running through walls and shit, or getting thrown through walls. And then he's also done it in commercials I've seen for some random brand where he just smashes through walls. I think he has a thing for I want to do stunts where I just throw my body
the
through breakable. He should play the Kool-Aid Man. If they ever make a Kool-Aid Man movie.
They punch and throw each other around and out a window. Eventually, on a Ramsey's truck, Jacob gets into a car, and Ramsey uses magnets to pull the car into the truck through buildings. And nothing else gets magnetized with it, but that's fine.
But it's cool.
They
cool, though.
literally catch the car that way. And that's why
I wish they showed him though, just having a fit though, because they just cut after that. I want to see him being mad that he's just stuck in his car basically.
Get out of the car, jump out the giant crater in the truck, I guess. But yeah.
Also, I wish they maybe showed him fighting after they captured him. Because he did take Dom. Let's be real. He was beating Dom, not Tom Wachowski from Sonic the Hedgehog.
Sure. Dominic Toretto. I think
he could take the whole game.
Neck.
Yeah, I think he could take the entire squad.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Except for the Rock.
They probably had him at gunpoint though. So
Jason Statham and the Rock would be the only two that could obviously still stand up against him. What's Han gonna do? It's why they all use guns, right? Otto, which is the rich dumbass dude's name, and Cypher talk shit to each other. The Star Wars thing was funny in theaters. It went on too long, in my opinion, this time around. because like even before that, he says, "I want X-wings. Give me the goddamn Millennium Falcon if you have to." And then something happens, and then he talks to Cypher, and then he's like, "Oh, I'm like Luke Skywalker." It's like,
They use a Jar Jar impression. It was really weird.
Yeah, that was just you to yourself.
Oh,
Yeah, but yeah,
Misa
whatever.
love Dom.
We then cut back to the Caspian Sea with Jacob in a cell. The gang meets back up here, including Han, all while Jacob has to watch a family reunited. I love it. He just stares, and then he walks away in anger. Oh, I hate happiness from my brother. I hate him so much. Han then tells them that Giselle used to work for Mr. Nobody, as her events of all of the movies. So after she died, Mr. Nobody came looking for Han and offered him a job. He introduces them to a girl. She's never introduced, but later, like as her name is never introduced, except later Han says, "Oh, we need to save Elle." So I guess that's her name. I don't know if it's short for something. 11. Like, is there Stranger Things tie-in? Elle was an orphan on a job Han was doing to get the Ares device. Other people showed up to get it. He saved her by getting shot a bunch. Then Han explains how he magically vanished from the car that exploded and killed him. We talked about that enough.
And I magically vanished.
He even says, that's a great magic trick you pulled." Whatever. The base is attacked by Jacob's people. Jacob tells Dom how their dad asked Jacob to help him throw the race. He then takes Elle. And like, you kept your dad's promise through parts that could have helped you out, and you did it here just to show your dick, essentially. You know what I mean? I feel like if it really mattered to you, you would have kept it still.
And here's the biggest plot hole. Once again, as we said in other episodes, I don't give a fuck about plot holes as much. We're not doing a CinemaSins YouTube video here. They could have just shot them all right there, and that would have been it.
Yeah. I thought about this. They
really could have just been like, boom, 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 execution style. All right, we won.
Here's how you get away with that. You have Otto or someone be like, take them with us. We could use good drivers. Just something like that. You know what I mean? Because they are valuable people. They are useful. Say something like that, because you're right. They eventually just go to like leave.
They turn on the magnet.
Yeah. To be fair, we stop them before they do something, but they could have right away just shot them all. I mean, Jacob was intent on just leaving.
They could have like stealthily opened that door and just popped them all. Yeah. It would have been it.
Yeah.
Assuming you hired the best guns, but our heroes don't die. This is like you said, this is a mythology.
Even the writers,
they're like gods.
Yeah.
The gods find ways to win.
Dom beats a bunch of people up in a collapsing tunnel and falls to his death. Tell him
He fights a lot of people.
Yeah. In his death haze, he lucidly dreams of his father and his son, his brother and his family. He sees, from a third-person perspective, as a past version of himself in his own body, his father on the phone. They families has money troubles. He then sees Jacob, listening to their father, Jack, when Jack says, "Jacob, now." And you could see hesitation on Jacob's face because he knows he probably shouldn't, but he does anyway. He listens to his daddy. And then Letty pops up in the dream too and saves Dom. And they plan to take on Jacob. So, long flashback. But, yeah, this is where your detective vision comes in, your Batman stuff, where, like, he pieces it all together. Part of me, the way it kind of looks, I got the initial impression, I remember in theaters, that Jacob lied about actually doing it and that he chose not to. So when we came down to this, watching it again, I'm like, he's going to realize that Jacob never actually sabotaged their dad's car. But no, he did because his dad told him to. But the way it was shot, it gave me that impression again. But that's just me. So
I still think the other driver killed him.
100%.
Because he literally like
Hit him.
he went bush league and just hit him. I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to do that.
Nope. And he's dead, so that guy's died too.
Or is he? I hired him.
He's the villain of F10.
I hired him and created
Fast
I made him into a RoboCop,
Oh my god.
and now he's betrayed us.
He is a car. He's the car Dom
And it
has to
ties in,
drive.
and then it ends with being tied into the Cars universe because the Cars eventually take
Absolutely.
over. Because the Vietnam War, I
Absolutely.
found out, does happen in Cars. They make reference to it.
Okay.
Yeah, so there is still humans. So I guess that's I'm just gonna say that I think at some point it was a Planet of the Apes scenario with the car franchise. But
Sure.
anyways, go ahead.
In Bleachy, I think the T might be silent, to Bleachy, Jacob activates the device and launches a rocket. Tej and Roman are in a car with a rocket on its back ready to take off from atop a plane. We get a lot of funny stuff here. Candy bars and whatnot. On the ground, the rest of the crew chase after Jacob as Jacob and Otto ready the Ares device. They are in a giant truck convoy train thing called the Armadillo. It's 14 feet tall. Biggest vehicle the people ever made that worked on the movie. So the people that actually built those things took them half a year to build that. So when they flipped it over, and I'm pretty sure that was practical, I had to make sure it worked. Like, gotta make sure that shot counted. Roman and Tej get launched into space. They're all like, oh my god, we're gonna die. Back on the ground, the chase continues with magnets. Lots of magnet stuff here or there. Justin Lin really, really, really wanted to have logic to how the magnets operated. And I noticed this. You see things where, like, magnets will turn on, and then we cut, and, like, someone, as they're reaching for a gun, it slides. Like, there really was, whenever, like, there was internal car stuff, action stuff, and, like, the magnets and the car motions, I actually did feel like continuity with there. It made sense.
Yeah.
It's just the stuff outside that don't make as much sense to me. How, like, you have to suspend a lot more disbelief. Where, like, sure, the one car flies through all the buildings and the car gets stuck in the truck. None of the things in the buildings got pulled, whatever. Fun fact, there is a scene where at some point in this movie, a magnet van drives by and there's a bunch of kids with phones and all their phones are taken. Those are actually the children of cast and crew members. Justin Lin's kids are in there. Jordana Brewster's kid is in there. Other people's kids are in there. So they wanted to have
Their
a little
family is in there.
Absolutely. Jacob's partner Otto turns against Jacob. So now Jacob is on our side, which is so wild to me. His motivation was what again? Just to get back at Dom? Right? Was that it? Why
Show
did
that
Jacob...
he doesn't need to be under his shadow or whatever, that he's just as much of an alpha dog as he is or whatever.
But when they turn against him, he's thinking, I gotta fucking fight these guys too. And then when the crew saves him, he begins to drive away, and then no, he's coming back.
Because he had the
But,
comm
like-
still, since he was in the car that they... Because he was using the car that they drove. Or the Khan drove?
Yeah, it was a 2020 Toyota.
I think it was just one of those, like... You just assume that, like, he's hearing the comms and, like...
he
understands
did. We did see them hear them.
Yeah, so that he needs... he knows that they need him. And maybe that's kind of his, like... They do need me. Like, they are wanting my help in a way. So I kind of get it. I think it's a little bit of a stretch, like you're saying. But I don't think it's super far-fetched either.
Yeah.
And
We needed to see more of his motivation in this movie. That is not just the Dom stuff. Why Ares? Why did he join up with this rich prick asshole douchebag? We needed to see more of that stuff in the movie to make it feel like the twist isn't, like, his change of heart isn't just, oh man, these guys try to screw me over, so I'm friends with my brother now. You know what I mean? I needed to see something a little bit more. Obviously, I can suspend disbelief on the whole thing. I'm fine with that. I just want to see John Cena be, friends with... I want to see him drink a beer at the barbecue. We didn't get that, but we should.
We didn't.
John Cena will return. I guarantee it.
That's what it says at the end.
Yeah, it says it at the end. Actually, I'll do it right now. Justin Lin said in the commentary track that I did not listen to, but I read a transcript online of what apparently this part is. At the part where Cypher talks to him and comments on his Nordic jawline and like the mixed genes or whatever and all of the Torettos, you know.
So it's kind of weird.
It's weird. That's just they're saying like they don't look like each other, but he's their brother. It doesn't matter.
They could have just said half brother. It would have been like no one would have said anything.
I think it's just a brother, and no one would give a shit because people
Yeah,
would have wanted to see it.
It's so weird.
Exactly. Any case, Justin Lin commented on that thing, the Nordic jawline, like Nordic ancestry, being important and something that he wants to explore in the future, but he can't talk about it more. That's what
And
he
now
said.
He's not on the project at all.
Now he's not on the
so-
project, so who knows? Maybe they might not go with it at all. But that makes
We don't
me
even know if
think
John
that-
Cena's even in the next one. We know Jason Momoa is the villain,
right.
but is he going to come back? I don't know.
I mean, I think it's dangerous to just keep doing the same idea over and over again for your surprise and your villains of like, there's, the second cousins of the Toretto. It's a whole clan up in Norway, and they're coming
This whole
like,
time.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, granted, there are the Netflix animated cartoons where Dom's brother is some kid spy racer. You know what I mean? So there is an extended family that is canon. Great. Whatever. Dom and Jacob flip the big truck. They flip it. No one wants
This
to pop
truck
the
reminded me a
tires.
lot of the Speed Racer movie, not the Wachowski sister one, but the cartoon. I don't know if you've ever seen that one.
That cartoon, no.
It isn't a car, but it's like a train almost. But it kind of does drive like a car. But it's like this. It looks very similar, where it's like this long, black, like train-looking truck thing that they fight in the movie. It's been a long time since I see it, so maybe I'm misremembering. But it just reminded me of that thing, and I wonder if they were inspired by that in any way.
Yeah, maybe.
It looks cool.
Meanwhile,
Big
in
truck.
space, Tej and Roman smash through the satellite. Basically, they come to the conclusion we're going to die here anyway. Let's explode. Probably not as like scary as just slowly starving to death or suffocating, whatever comes first.
But then
So.
they Tej makes a point to Roman that like, oh, but if we're invincible, we'll survive though.
And then they do.
And they do, so they are.
The freaking Pontiac is just invincible, I guess. So whatever. But no, I'm glad. Obviously, that's what's crazy to me is we don't get a scene where the crew says goodbye to them because they're sending them to space in a car.
They just know they'll get it done, dude. They just know. They're like, they'll get it done. No worries.
Like even like we cut to that, right? They don't know what's going on. Well, they kind of do because Ramsey's counting down and something happens, but like
Because it does turn on for like a half second, right?
Right,
That like
right.
it's active for, and they're like, we're too late.
yeah,
But then they're not.
satellite missing. But still, they're in space still, and they are not sure that they're going to return safely to Earth, right? Actually, they don't in the car. Remember,
Yeah.
What was the extraction idea? What was the plan to getting them out of space? The
What they- I guess they
ISS
wind up
shows
doing.
up,
Yeah.
and they get a ride from the like. What
Which
was
I don't
their
think they
initial
get. They don't
plan?
get shuttles, by the way. I don't think like routinely like that. I think it's like
They say
every
they said
couple-
they've been up in space for weeks.
okay.
At the barbecue. I've been up in space for weeks, which is good that they at least gave a somewhat realistic. It wasn't like they came back the next day, but while they're up
It
there,
would have been funny if they landed in the yard in the Pontiac,
like because the house is being rebuilt,
and
destroy the
they
house.
break it. They destroy the
Yeah,
house.
yeah,
That would have
yeah.
been funny. That would have been funny.
That car would have burnt the fuck up in the atmosphere on re-entry. You know, there's no.
It would have
way.
burnt up going through the atmosphere in general.
leaving in the first place. You're right. You're
yeah.
right.
I think
Apparently,
even if
Justin,
they did make it through, I don't think they had enough insulation on that thing. I think they would have just suffocated instantly.
Sorry, yawning
But
here.
it's whatever. It's goofy.
Justin Lin did go to NASA and ask them a lot of questions because he wanted to get a lot of stuff to be as generally acceptable as possible. So, effort was made.
I want to say that before we saw this movie, we did like a predictions, I think, episode. I don't know if it was from SMS or if it was we did one in part of Chronicles of Diesel right before it. But we talked about like how are they gonna up the ante? Because we're like, okay, they did this set piece, they've done this set piece, and I remember us saying like the only thing they could do is go to space, and like it happened. Not to the way I think we were thinking, because we thought the whole crew would go to like the moon.
We gotta drive this car up a rocket. It's going.
Yeah. Or I thought they were have to do. They were all being moon rovers,
Moon missions,
like doing moon missions. I guess they could still do that. I would accept that. But yeah, I don't know where they're gonna go after this, which maybe we could talk about once we wrap up here.
Under the sea, maybe. I don't know. I feel like these next two are going to be extremely personal and not global, world-altering events. I
hinted that they're going back to the roots, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So.
I think it's going to be very personal. But let's continue before let's wrap up the movie here. On the ground, Jacob and Dom stop the truck. Dom destroys Cypher's drone, which, okay, just putting this out there. The series betrays intentions of the characters and the original story. Dom does not know Cypher's alive. Right? Now, granted, you could also say he doesn't even know who was flying that. To be fair,
Yeah,
I guess to work my way back, but because it's a reveal, because they show her in a cockpit a lot, but it was a drone and she was remotely piloting. Because I remember in the theater when she died, we were like, and then like it says, drone destroyed, and like her screens go like, oh, okay, because she dies in a believable way for a villain like that. She just goes shit and explodes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like that was believable, right? And then she walks off frame, and that's her story.
And she was hired by Mr. Nope.
Probably. Exactly.
I should say that now. Every time someone dies or.
So yeah, let's say she was in that plane. Let's say she was in that plane and she really did explode, and we're like, we killed her. How is she back? And Mr. Nobody's like, I never told you I'm from Krypton. And he comes in flying like Superman through the plane.
You didn't see Superman, but Superman caught her right before it exploded. You're right. Kurt Russell as Superman would be fucking hilarious. I'd watch it.
Jacob gets his 10-second car and a second chance. Dom, I love this. Is sweet. He says,
I think it should be the other way around, though. I think Dom needs to get a second chance from Jacob.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dom's the one that told him to leave. He never wanted to leave.
Yeah.
So
now again, I feel like
You
if we
fucked
wanted
up,
to
but
make
not really.
Jacob more sympathetic, as people that know that he is innocent, what I would have done when they meet at the street race as kids, as young, they were probably late teens, early 20s, probably early 20s, right? As Jacob, I would have been like, I've been trying to raise money for us when you get out. When did you get out? I haven't seen, like, I would have done some of that stuff, but that's not the intention. They want it to, obviously, but that's what Jacob should have done. Just as a dude, you know what I mean? As a local celebrity that is erased from history until this movie, right? Yeah. But I did like that Dom mentions Brian by saying someone once gave me a 10-second car and a second chance, and I think you deserve the same. So he gives him his hellacious 1968 claiming to be a 1970 Dodge Charger.
And if I was Jacob, I'd be like, who are you talking about?
10 seconds. I'm keeping this. He drives away. Tej and Roman get a ride from, I assume, the ISS. Just someone's up there. Even those people must be gearheads too, because they knew what specific Pontiac that was, And there was the "They Look Like Minions" line, because Universal owns it. Dom takes his son Brian to the track his father raced at. Is what I mentioned at the beginning. There's the little B there, old Brian. He's
Base
written by
God.
writers. Yep, but it's cute. It's cute. I would have loved to see him take Brian on a very slow lap around as they talked. Instead of standing there, put him in the passenger seat and go 20 around the whole track, you know?
No, go faster.
Okay, sure.
He's going to learn today.
He's going to learn today. I want you to sit here and watch me do, like, traumatize the kid. I was right there as he's getting in the car and leaving his kid behind. I was right there when I watched my dad, like, you know, like me
and
right
he crashes the car.
Crashes right over here.
Explodes.
You know,
and then the kid's like, wow, he died. And then Mr. Nobody comes and saves him.
Did I ever tell you it's from Krypton?
Did I ever tell you? Sorry, that was just like something I forgot to mention, that I'm from another planet. This whole time I actually could have stopped all this, but I just thought it'd be cooler if you guys did it.
The Toretto home is being
low.
rebuilt. It's funny, you can see the wood beams set up.
Do you think the neighbors are pissed like that?
Oh, for sure.
They're like, bro, we had a shooting last
And
time.
then it exploded.
Oh, we let you go on the shooting, like, you know, like bad shit happened.
You're lowering
then
our property values.
My kids can't. I don't invite the kids. I've sent them away because
Bad people know you live here.
and not just any bad people, like international threats.
Terrorists that send
I'm worried I'm
explosives
going to be
through
drone
the mail.
striked. I'm worried I'm going to be drone striked at some point just for walking by the house.
We get the family barbecue. We get a shot of beautiful Coronas. Pretend I'm holding one. I wanted to stop at a liquor store, but I didn't. He's got one too. Are you over there or there? You're over there, right? I don't remember which way you're facing.
I'll double fist.
We're double fisting it. See? Let's pour him back. I'm not doing the actual double fisting. The mid-credit scene shows Shaw face-to-face learning that Han is alive, which I'm not quite sure what that's supposed to tease, other than, like,
Are they gonna fight? Are they
you know what I
gonna
mean?
make
Because,
up?
like,
Are they gonna? There's so many questions.
Shaw
Is he gonna
has
kill
a look
Shaw?
on his face. Shaw has a look on his face like he's fucked. Shaw would beat Han's ass easily. So, like, who knows what they're actually trying to tease? Maybe Han will be in Hobbs and Shaw too. I'd be down for that. Give that character more.
Are they doing another one?
Everyone's open to it. I would not be surprised if they are, but I can also see Vin Diesel being like, "You're gonna wait till we're done with Fast X and the sequel, because I'm going out the way I want to."
Well, then The Rock's like, bro, I'm making Black Adam, so good luck.
But yeah, The Rock shows up, says like, "Kurt Russell, you're from Krypton. Black Adam's magic. You're weak is to magic. Enjoy your gaming."
enjoy your game.
Remember that the Summer Games Fest or whatever it was?
I love The Rock. He's my favorite billionaire.
Well, that's the movie. We cut to credits. We finished the credits. I skipped through them all. Yeah, that's it. Movie is all said and done. I don't have any more trivia. I went through them all as we went. There's a lot of stupid stuff people like to say, and like some of it. So this time around, as I read through different people's trivia things, there's a lot of like opinions in there. I don't remember any of them. I'm like, why
trivia?
You know what I mean? Like, but it's like somewhat trivia, but also like, which is kind of stupid if you ask me. Like, no, I'm not. Just tell me straight up information. Disregard your point because I can't verify that because you kind of made
and then
it seem
Han
as
came
if you're
back,
dumb.
which is great. If you ask, it's like, okay, that's your opinion. That's cool.
It's just your opinion, man. Yeah. Now, let's talk about this movie, right? We like to talk about this movie, and then we rank it in two different ways. We have a movie ranking list.
Yeah, but I say we should talk about what we think is going to happen next, though.
Oh, want to do that now?
Yeah, let's do that now.
Let's do it now.
Because I think that end credit scene could be maybe hinting at a possibility of something, but we also know that Cypher is alive, so I think those are the two directions they could take it in.
And she is in the next movie. She's casted in it. So how I imagine how that is either going to go one or two ways. Either Cypher is the villain for both movies, and Jason Momoa is the villain of the first one and dies, or he's above her and she dies in the first one, but the real threat is him, and I'll see you next time. I think one of those two scenarios is going to happen.
I think it's just gonna be Cypher and maybe the Han and Shaw thing are just gonna be, like you say, maybe it's for a Hobbs and Shaw thing, or maybe they meet up and there's more context to it. Maybe it starts off with that, giving more context that like, hey, we need your help. Cypher is still alive, kind of thing, or Cypher might be coming for you, and we need to all stick together. I know we've had our differences, blah blah blah.
Yeah, there
I think it'd be hilarious if they blow up that they finish the house and they blow it up.
Blow it up. I mean, just bring it full circle.
I think someone needs to die. I think someone needs to die though. That's kind of a hope, I guess. I don't know if it'll happen, but I think a main character needs to die.
Michelle Rodriguez.
I think it'd be cool.
Sacrifices herself for Dom, or vice versa.
I think it'd be kind of cool if Dom dies, but then they're not gonna I don't know if it would sell well for the sequel,
so
right?
They do it in the last one. You know what I mean?
I don't think he'll die though. I think knowing Vin Diesel, what we've seen is that he doesn't like killing his characters off.
It probably hasn't even crossed his mind. You know what I mean? But yeah, he's probably written plenty of fan fiction in his head of all the times Hobbs dies in his movie.
Oh my God.
And then Hobbs dies.
And we're still assuming that The Rock won't be in it, even though I think it'd be really good, even if he came in for a cameo, 5 minutes, just to make Vin happy and make us, the fans, happy that he's in it in some capacity. Even if it's like on a phone call or something, like a Zoom call, he's like, yeah, I'm sending you all my reinforcements right now. Something like that. Like, that'd be whatever. I'll take that.
Yeah, but like, remember the beef watch from earlier where he called Vin out for using Paul Walker's death and their kids.
I know. I'm just saying at best, it's probably what it would be. I think, yeah, if it's 2 parts, I think someone has to die, or there has to be some sort of cliffhanger that is making us demanding to have it be a part 1 and part 2. You know what I mean? There needs to be some sort of cliffhanger, like Avengers, right? That
the bad guys have to win or something. That's why I think, because we have 2 known villains in this movie. One of them has to be in both, and the other one has to die. But the threat's not over, or like the real bad guy, whether it is Jason Momoa, who is above Cypher this whole time, or Cypher, who utilizes Jason Momoa, and she pops up just at the very end to take something, whether it be a person, a thing. I think a person would make a lot of sense. You kill one character, and you steal another one to the next movie. You know what I mean? And then that's why the next movie exists. Like, you need that.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I keep from Jason Momoa, but yeah, I think he's gonna do something. I think, and I think Cypher is gonna be behind it all because she seems to be that character that is manipulating other people or pays for other people. So I think she's gonna make a call or something and get Jason Momoa, and I think Jason Momoa is just gonna maybe come out of nowhere and kill one of them.
Yeah,
that's the only time they're gonna get involved. And they made a point to say that, like, shit, Dom didn't want to get involved in this movie until like he had the Batman vision and just realized that they're going to like meet his brother, and then his brother is involved. That it is that personal, like you were saying. I think it's got to be personal, and I think the only way you can do that, I think that'll be believable at this point, is someone dying, or someone's kidnapped. But they did that already with F8, and I don't know if you're gonna do it any better. You know what I mean? Or it would feel.
You know how in between F8 and F9, this not that great video game takes place where Michelle Rodriguez and Vin Diesel work for Interpol? So somehow in between that game and here, they became fuck everyone but us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they at some point had to have considered the game canon, right? I imagine they might still do. I hope they do. It wasn't that bad. It was, whatever. We're not talking about the game. But, like they make a point to say that it needs to be personal. They don't work on saving the world type stuff. It needs to be personal. Hell, even when it came to Furious 7, it was because Shaw killed Han that they even worked with Mr. Nobody and the governments or whatever at all, right? So it needs to be personal. I think it would be cheap to open this one like 7 and have someone get killed, but I don't know what else they're going to do. They did a kidnapping with 8, you know what I mean? They already did the two big things.
Maybe someone doesn't need to be killed right away, but I think there needs to be a cliffhanger or a reason to like want me to.
I'm just saying how it opens. Like, how do we open? Maybe they're all drugged, and the only way to cure them is, you know what I mean? That's another angle you could. I don't know.
They're on a cruise, and it's not a cruise like you think.
Becomes Gilligan's Island. Ooh, we're lost.
It just turns into a Quentin Tarantino film where it's just all takes place in one room. There actually is no cars. It's all just the drama in a room on a cruise. That'd be cool.
You know what I would like to see? I would like to see if they are truly going back to their roots, which is street race culture. If that's the case, I'd like to somehow see them actually do a street race with Cypher. Somehow have that be a thing. Like, make the street race actually a part of... Because the street race being a part of main conflicts haven't been in since 4 at the latest, right? Because 4 had a street race that was the winner gets to be in the bad guy's crew and Dom wins to go undercover. Remember that? And Brian was there and Dom cheats because he needs to find Letty's killer, right? As last time, I think, that a street race was integral to the story, let alone a final conflict. Like, again, the drift down the mountain in Tokyo Drift, that was a street race. 2 and 1, well, really the first one was a street race, you know, all that stuff, right? So if they want to go back to their roots, they would need to somehow make that important to the story. I'm glad that every movie has had a street race, an actual street race. In 5, they stole the cop cars, they rid them. In 6, it was with Letty in London. In 7, there was one. I know that. 8...
Or is that the Cuba one?
8 opened with Cuba's street race.
Yeah.
And 9 had the younger Toretto's racing in LA. I'm glad that they at least do it in every one of them, and I don't expect that to stop. But if they want to go back to the roots...
Maybe like part of the beginning of the movie is just introducing his character, like him, like completely separate from everyone, just like where he got his roots. That he's just as good as a driver as any of them, but like he comes from somewhere else, and he's in his street scene is he's good in the street scene. You know what I mean? So like,
or he was always in LA. And he's always looked on for. They just do the jealous in the shadows thing again.
Oh my god. But yeah, I don't know. We're so skeptical here. I think once we get even just like more from Vin Diesel, I'm sure he'll post more on his Instagram as we get closer to like a teaser. Once we get a teaser, maybe we could do a special episode or something down the line where we just guess more. But we won't really. We're really pulling at straws here. It could be literally anything,
and they will make it literally anything too. What I think would be pretty funny. So you know how Furious 7 opens up with like the redo of the Furious 6 Shaw kills Han thing, but from the perspective of Dom gets the phone call at the Toretto home and it blows up, right? The house gets rebuilt. Bad guys take it over. And so what do? They have Shaw deliver a package and he calls him on the phone and it explodes. I'd be dumb.
It's just going to start Mr. Nobody being like, I'm from Krypton, did I tell you?
I didn't tell you I was from Krypton?
You're in the movie theater, right? And it has one race, it has Universal, and all of a sudden it says DC, and you're like, wait, hold up.
Yeah, Warner Brothers. And Universal?
So weird. And then it opens up with like Superman, you're like, oh, they're bringing him back, and it's freaking Kurt Russell.
Just makeup to shit and back. You know what I mean? Because we get to get Superman's origin story, so we get.
It's not the whole Kurt first Russell. Movie has nothing to do with Fast and Furious. It's straight up just him in Smallville or whatever the fuck.
I used to be somebody. We get the reverse of the chest revealing the Superman, but now I'm nobody, and he closes it up and puts on his sunglasses, grabs his Belgian ale.
He was somebody when he put on the cape or whatever.
And we tie it into another Vin Diesel universe where the reason why Samuel Jackson lives in all the Triple X movies is because he knows a friend from Krypton.
Oh my god!
There we go.
They're all connected.
They're
all connected.
Yep.
Anything's possible in a multiverse. I hope they don't do that, by the way. I hope they don't do the
awful.
Multiverse shit.
I think we've kind of been overplaying the multiverse stuff. Like, even in the Marvel things, I'm like, stop. I don't want, like, if they bring, yeah, whatever. I'm tired of the multiverse stuff being an excuse. Like, oh, it's an alternate universe of this person. Give it a couple decades now. We've gone too far. We've exhausted this idea. Like anything with capitalism, we burnt it to the damn ground. Scorched earth it, you know. You didn't do the thing with farming where you only farm on 3 of your 4 plots of land and you rotate which one you don't use. No, you went all in on it and you killed it off, you know what I mean?
You milk that cow until the cow is literally rotting in the ground.
There's no more cow now. Cow's dead. You had a chance of cowing it out, milking the cow in 5 years.
A chance of cowing.
I don't have a cow, man. All right. We rank these films and games and stuff on 2 different ranking lists, the movie ranking list and the Vin Diesel performance ranking list. We're going to go through the movie ranking list stuff first, but let's just have an overall chat about the movie. I know we talked a lot about our thoughts overall. I can begin first and just say that there's lots of stuff I love and there's stuff that I'm not too in on. I love the fact that we have the long lost brother. I actually really like that idea. I don't think it's done super well, but I also understand it doesn't really matter. But at the same time, it's not as perfect as I think it could be, where we could be like, hell yeah. Instead, we're like, yeah, it's cool that they found a way to give Dom a brother, a long-lost brother. I like the fact that Han is back. He doesn't do anything important to the story besides introduce us to a MacGuffin in the form of a little girl, and his death became meaningless 2 times over. In 2 different ways, you know what I mean? And then it opens up a bag of worms, a can of worms, a bag of dicks that we talked about earlier, right? You know,
bag of
now we have
worms,
fucking Krypton involved in this series. You know, there's things I like, there's things I don't like. Magnets were a cool thing to do. Like they had zombie cars, they had this and that. What are they gonna do now? Magnets were cool. Driving over landmines was cool. I suspend disbelief on some of that stuff. I think it's neat. Going to space was a little hokey for me because they didn't have a plan on getting them back out of there. Therefore, the gravity of them almost dying didn't fit very well, but whatever. I like the fact that Jordana Brewster was back. She was back because they wanted her back. And it sounded like they didn't want her back for 10 and Vin Diesel threw a fit. So how much impact did she have? Don't care. I'm glad she's back. I'm glad everyone had a little bit back. I wish Tej had more stuff to do. I wish Ramsey had more stuff to do. I wish some of these people had plots, or not plots, but like some sort of minor character growth or journey they go on besides just being a part of a team. So overall, all the character dynamics is stuffed into the Toretto family. Even Letty takes a bit of a backseat. Granted, her story with her memory and all that stuff is kind of said and done. She had something. I would like to see some more talk about sacrifice between her and Dom, show that love to the fullest. But overall, the movie was a fun time. The movie was a lot of just high-octane stuff. You see boys beating each other up. That's always fun to do. I like Charlize Theron. I think our really shitty cookie-cutter rich boy villain was... I mean, I didn't even write him into the thing. I said his name out because I remembered after the fact, but like he was beyond forgettable, and our villains didn't really have a reason to do the thing besides the fact that Jacob and Otto have this shared hatred of not being the important people in their stories. Otto hates his dad, who's the only reason why he has anything at all, and Jacob hates his father, or hates Dom because he kept a promise. I don't know. I say a lot of negative things, but that's because there's a lot I just have assumed to be things I enjoyed. So I liked a lot of character interactions, and I liked the characters. I just want more, and I think we could have gotten better. How about you?
Seeing this the second time now, I remember coming out of it. I don't even remember what we said in our first, because we did technically do a review episode on this already. So if you listen to that one, then listen to this one, you probably will remember more than what we've said. But yeah, I'm kind of just, my biggest thing I've had with this is that the pacing, I feel like start off well, then it kind of slows to a halt, and they try to do too many like B plots, especially with we need to split up, which is a cool idea, but I feel like it just quickly like slows down, or it cuts unevenly. Like I feel like we sit too long at some characters compared to others. Maybe there's too many characters in this. That might be a thing. There's a reason why the Avengers films, I think, are over 3 hours, because they were afraid to cut some people out, or were afraid to not give little stories.
And they still cut a lot of stuff out too.
Yeah. So maybe for the next one, maybe they limit down the characters. Maybe go back to the OGs. I don't know. I don't know how much I like the tie-ins with the flashbacks and like retconning a lot of stuff, because it makes it a little bit more unbelievable. But I'm at the point too with this franchise where I'm like, I'm in it for the stunts, the action, and the Dom one-liners. Really. So as long as I keep doing that, I'm not gonna hate any of these films. I think out of the last three, though, this is my least favorite one. Just in terms of the plot and the interest in the characters. I know we really liked F8 and F7. I just feel like out of the last three, out of this little trilogy, if you want to call it that, because that's how I kind of think of them, is they're all kind of like their little trilogies, or maybe quadrologies, or whatever 4 is. So for
arcs.
me,
They're all in different arcs.
Yeah, I just feel like this one was just kind of all right for me. I enjoyed watching it again after a year. But like, if I had to pick one of the Fast and Furious ones, I don't know if this would be at the top of my list, just because I think it requires a lot of knowledge. It's not a good standalone film, and it's hard to top a submarine fight. It's hard to top some of the other stunts they've done with like
falling out of
running
the plane,
around, doing a safe,
and
whatnot. The space thing is kind of goofy. I wish that they maybe kept the space idea, like I said, to have them all be on the moon, like just buy into the cheesiness, and like we're putting everyone on the moon, we're putting them in a new environment, because I feel like we've kind of seen all the other environments at this point, and that's what makes me curious of where they're going to go next. We know they go to Italy. You know that based off Dom's Vin Diesel's Instagram. So maybe they go through through Italy there, Rome. I think that's where they specifically are. Maybe they go to the Gladiator Stadium there, Coliseum.
Didn't we say they were gonna drift on the edge of the Coliseum? Like,
I think they were gonna destroy it, and then I'll laugh about it. How they just destroyed one of the most ancient stadiums, if not the oldest, probably stadium of all time. Yeah, I don't know where they're gonna go with this. But I'm okay with where it is. I wish they didn't bring Han back. Sorry. I guess that's my kind of just general thoughts off the top of my head here, and outside the stuff I've already said. I think this is not necessarily bad or anything like that. I just think it's all right, and I think it's one of the more weaker ones of the newer ones, if you want to look at it that way.
Well, all right. We're going to go ahead and rank it on our movie ranking list. Why don't we bring this up here? We have here both of our lists. I'm still going to read this out loud for audio listeners. For the movie ranking list, we have, and it goes all the way down to 41. We have as it follows. Number 1, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Number 2, Guardians of the Galaxy. Number 3, Saving Private Ryan. Number 4, Fast 5. Number 5, Avengers Endgame. Number 6, Avengers Infinity War. Number 7, The Fate of the Furious. Number 8, Fast and Furious 6. Number 9, Furious 7. 10, Triple X. 11, The Fast and the Furious. 12, Triple X Return of Xander Cage. 13, Ralph Breaks the Internet. 14, The Iron Giant. 15, Riddick. 16, Awakenings. 17, Fast and Furious. 18, Bloodshot. 19, A Man Apart. 20, Find Me Guilty. 21, Boiler Room. 22, The Chronicles of Riddick. 23, Pitch Black. 24, The Last Witch Hunter. 25, The Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift. 26, Vin Diesel. 27, Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk. 28, Knockaround Guys. 29, Fast and Furious Crossroads. 30, Wheelman. 31, The Pacifier. 32, Babylon AD. 33, Los Bandoleros. 34, The Chronicles of Riddick, Assault on Dark Athena. 35, The Chronicles of Riddick, Escape from Butcher Bay. 36, Multifacial. 37, The Chronicles of Riddick, Dark Fury. 38, Strays. 39, Wiz Khalifa featuring Charlie Puth, See You Again. 40, Fast and Furious Supercharged. And 41, Riddick Blindsided. Wow.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. For a second there, I'm like, did I say Crossroads? Because I was going to point at it. That's when I'm like, wait a second, we're getting really low to the end. Forgot we put it up there at 29 because it was of the best of the video games. But we're talking about F9, the Fast Saga here. I think, because you made a statement earlier, how you think that F9 is the weakest of the 7, 8, 9 trilogy. I definitely think it's lower than 8, although I could go back and forth on 7. What 7 has going for it is Jason Statham is a fun villain. And what F9 has going for it is it's cool that John Cena is a villain and that dynamic. And Charlize Theron was more involved and better in 8 than she is here in 9. But she's still here, and I don't dislike her. So I go back and forth. But ultimately, I kind of do think 7 is more fun and a better film. It has the Paul Walker stuff and tribute in it. They go back to L.A. Remember, the movie ends in L.A. There's all that stuff there. So I think I could be ultimately convinced to put it below Furious 7, which is our current number 9. With it goes 8, 6, 7, like all in a row there. So numbers 7, 8, and 9 are Fate of the Furious, Fast and Furious 6, and Furious 7. So I would be okay with putting it below, but
I think I know where I want to put it. I think I'm gonna watch this again before I watch Ralph Breaks the Internet. So I feel like it needs to be above that. And I love the Triple X movies a lot. At least the Vin Diesel ones. I mean, shit, dude. He rides a skateboard. Like shit.
Skates.
Like, yeah, you could put him in a Dodge Charger and it looks cool, but there's something different about this man hooking up an entire town to watch a soccer game by riding a skateboard and running away from the cops.
It's just a different vibe. He smiles in this movie when he's doing cool stuff. In that movie.
For me, and I just feel like there's some cooler stunts in that compared to F9, which is hard to say, I think, just because of how ridiculous F9 is with going to space and stuff. But I feel like if they're going to go cheese, they need to like fully do it. And I feel like F9, they did half. They were afraid to go too cheesy with it. When I think Triple X, Return of Xander Cage, I think embraces what the identity of those films are immediately and goes through with it. I mean, shit, they literally acknowledge that Samuel L. Jackson's character doesn't die. He's fine. He gets hit by a comet or whatever the fuck it was. I don't remember what it was. He gets hit by a missile and lives.
It was a satellite.
So satellite. Yeah. I think Ralph Breaking the Center is a good movie though, but I just think that I enjoy Fast and Furious movies before a Pixar movie.
It's not Pixar. It's just Disney.
Or Disney. An animated film that I just thought was cute. But I know it's not. I'm not the target audience for that.
Yeah.
So I feel like I want to put it at 13.
I'm not against that. I do think Triple X was a much more fun film. The story is a lot dumber and more forgettable because there isn't the reason why you're there, the family and all that stuff that Fast and Furious has to kind of brute force its way through dumb villain stuff. You know what I mean? Helps it. But at the same time, you're right, and I also kind of want to have Triple X, the series, get more recognition that way, So,
and it can't go above the Fast and the Furious. I don't think F9 can't. I don't think.
Right, which is 11 there. Yeah, no, you're right. You're 100% right. The only thing is, like, would I go lower? Would I put it underneath Riddick or Bloodshot?
I think it's
even?
better. I think it's better than Riddick.
I'm just kind of like spitballing here to be like, do we want to make sure?
I mean, I do like Iron Giant a lot. But it's so hard to compare these movies at this point.
Admittedly, because we also reviewed this movie or Iron Giant 2 years ago, so
crazy.
You know what I mean? I can agree
hard.
with you. We're gonna put F9 at number 13 here. Oh, people actually get to see me do this now. So.
Copying and the pasting.
F9. Yep, the copying and the pasting. And then also rating 42 down here for Riddick. Blindsided is now at 42. But 13, F9. let's make an audible right here. Are we calling this movie F9 or F9 The Fast Saga?
I mean, we've stuck with all the actual titles for the other ones, so I think we got to. Unfortunately. Because I see because we could have wrote Assault on Dark Athena. You know what I mean? We would know that. We would know what that is.
We could have. Although in the Twitter pictures that we put up, I had to, for the sake of space, break them down.
Oh, I know.
To,
yeah.
Chronicles of Riddick is just T-Core. Not T-Cod. That's this show.
T-Core.
There's
T-Core sounds kind of cooler. We should have did that, huh?
Yeah, it's a new genre of music. It's T-Core.
Yeah. Yo, have you heard the new T-Core album, bro? It's so good. Track 3? Oh.
How is Vin Diesel in this movie? Now, this is tough question. Because there's not just one, but two other actors playing Dominic Toretto. So remember, we have to take all of the interactions between them as younger dudes out of the equation when we're just talking about Vin Diesel's performance, right?
If anything, I think it does impact his performance, or at least you have to think about it. Does he portray the younger version of himself as an older version now? Even though he originally is here, and really it's the other way around. The actor for young Dom had to, based off what he knows of Dom in the other movies.
Right.
But you still, to a degree, he knows the scripts that he has to play into that drama between him and his brother, Jacob. Overall, I thought he was fine in this movie. I think he's been better in other Fast movies. I think F8, obviously, I think is the pinnacle for his acting in a Fast and Furious movie. Outside of maybe I don't remember where we ranked it, but the original Fast and Furious, where we think he stole the show. We'll talk about the rankings in a second there, or you'll list them off. But it's so hard. I'm starting to misremember all of them at this point of what scenes I liked and what I didn't like.
Ultimately, though, for a Fast and Furious movie, it was middle to high. It is about him, but most of the actual emotion about his struggle with his brother comes from flashbacks that are not him. He technically already went through all of that stuff, so that doesn't count for Vin Diesel. There is a couple loud emotional yelling. We do get at the beginning there when Little B just says, "God is always with you."
Ellen DeGeneres.
And Vin Diesel says, "I will always be in your heart." And then when he brings that back again, when he basically tells the lady, "I'm going to kill myself here," tell him I'm always in his heart. There is some of that, there is some of that. That's what I think makes it middle to high. Because I remember we put Fast 5 low-ish because he is not the main character. That was a movie where they were all equally important. If not, maybe Brian is more important because it's about him and Mia and the fact that they're going to have kids and they're trying to get out of this life, more so specifically. So we have that one low-ish in terms of Fast and Furious stuff. In terms of Dominic Toretto roles, I think this is more than that because it's about him more. He's putting more into it. It just gets brought down because he's not playing the younger versions of himself. So let's read it off.
Producer. I was going to say he is the producer too. We got to remember that we take stock into that. And actually that hurt him, for people who didn't listen to some of the previous episodes. In what was it? Fate of the Furious. Yeah. We're he had a great performance in it. That's what made us start wanting to do the show, was that his performance in that. But he took some pegs down because he was shitty to The Rock, in our personal opinion.
There's a very simplistic way of saying it, but yes, based off allegations and stuff like that, it seemed like he hurt that film and the future of that franchise a little bit by not having Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and all that stuff. But regardless, I haven't heard anything about him, and all the issues he had with F8 in terms of showing up late and dragging the sets and showing up out of shape. I haven't heard anything about it for this.
And John Cena, if we go back to when we did our original review of this, I remember I pulled an interview of John Cena wearing his Peacemaker outfit on a podcast where someone asked him directly, what side are you on with the Diesel versus The Rock thing? And I'm not saying he doesn't have an opinion, but he didn't do a both sides. He just said, I don't know what happened between them, but I've had a good experience with with this movie. I'm really excited about this movie. And he kind of kept it at that. He kept it very businessy. So at the very least, he could have gone on there because they already filmed the movie, right? He
Right.
could have went on there and been like, yeah, it could have been better, or it was awful. Yeah, I don't know. This might be my only one I do. Like, he could have done that. I don't think he's that kind of person, but he could have done that if it was
bad.
bad. Like The Rock did. You know what I mean? And The Rock
true.
usually, PR wise, I feel like he doesn't usually take shots at anybody really too much, except for he did against IGN the other day for.
Oh yeah, that was dumb.
Because IGN
They compared box offices.
Yeah,
That's part of their job as entertainment news.
But yeah, I feel like if we're gonna look at a production standpoint, we don't know too much more about it other than what we talked about today. So, but I just wanted to mention that again, that we're not just basing it strictly off of his acting. That if he directs it, produces anyway, we include that.
Absolutely. So, let us read off the Vin Diesel performance ranking. And again, it's right here on screen for those listening at home on audio services. Check out the YouTube version. It's our first one.
And if you don't want to do that because you're lazy and maybe you have Twitter open right now, if it's still up by the time you listen to this, you can look at our recent tweets. I did it. I did it the day of this recording.
That's
which is
right.
The 30th.
That's right.
So go to November 30th, and you can look at it that way too.
Okay. Yes. Number 1 for the Vin Diesel performance ranking list is... Number 1 is Triple X. Number 2, The Fast and the Furious. Number 3, Triple X Return of Xander Cage. Number 4, Fast and Furious. Number 5, Find Me Guilty. Number 6, Fast and Furious 6. Number 7, Riddick. Number 8, Furious 7. Number 9, A Man Apart. 10, Fast 5. 11, The Last Witch Hunter. 12, Bloodshot. 13, The Pacifier. 14, The Chronicles of Riddick. 15, Babylon AD. 16, Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk. 17, Los Bandoleros. 18, The Fate of the Furious. 19, Guardians of the Galaxy. 20, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. 21, Boiler Room. 22, Multifacial. 23, Pitch Black. 24, Knockaround Guys. 25, Strays. 26, The Chronicles of Riddick, Dark Fury. 27, The Iron Giant. 28, Saving Private Ryan. 29, Diesel. 30, The Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift. 31, Fast and Furious Crossroads. 32, Avengers Infinity War. 33, The Chronicles of Riddick Assault on Dark Athena. 34, Wheelman. 35, The Chronicles of Riddick Escape from Butcher Bay. 36, Ralph Breaks the Internet. 37, Avengers Endgame. 38, Riddick Blindsided. 39, Fast and Furious Supercharged. 40, Wiz Khalifa featuring Charlie Puth, See You Again. And 41, Awakenings. Whew.
Yeah.
Keeping things in the Fast and Furious lane here. It is not going
Pun
above the
intended.
original, pun intended. Fast and Furious 4 was a very serious Dom that was story focused on him, and he nailed it. Fast and Furious 1 is higher than that because he stole the show. He was not the main character. He stole it, though. Fast and Furious 6 was very good. It was him searching for Letty. It was him rediscovering her, having her rediscover herself, going through all that stuff. That was good. Fast and Furious 7 was like this. It's around this film where it's not necessarily totally about him, but he's leading the team. He's making lots of decisions, I guess, as a character. But a lot of the emotional weight is involved that. Where we get a lot of him telling, you like the bullets, Brian. You missed the bullets. You have a family. You got to stay to the family. You should not be doing this. You have a son type of stuff. Way down, well, so after that we have Fast 5, which I think, again, is below this movie in terms of the Vin Diesel performance. Fast 5 is a perfect film, straight up. But as far as Vin Diesel, I think that's above, or that's below F9. And then way down there is Fate of the Furious. And then even lower down there is Tokyo Drift. He was when he was rolling with me.
We really knocked him down for Fate of the Furious, didn't we?
We did. You put it below a short film with him in it. We did that. So
Deserved though. We might be a little bit biased towards the Vin. But we keep him honest. We keep him honest on this show.
We're very biased towards Vin Diesel.
Only a little.
Do you at least agree with me that you think his performance in this film higher than Fast Five?
I'll just say I think it's somewhere in the top. I want to say 18. I just don't know where. I'm kind of
in the top 18, so at least above Fate of the Furious. I think this is at least higher than 10, which is Fast Five. The real question then to me becomes higher than Furious 7, and I don't know.
I think for sure it's not above Furious 7 personally. Man Apart has much more wide variety of emotions. Fast Five, I feel like it's less than. I feel like I liked Fast Five more. But maybe
his Vin Diesel performance.
It's so hard.
I don't know. His main character is a struggle between him and his brother. The only thing that carries it down is that a lot of the emotional weight Vin Diesel's character has is not played by Vin Diesel.
I'm really trying to think about that. Where I'm like, did he have scenes that blew me away?
He did a lot of action stuff.
Yeah. He did have a line saying, "Are you sure?"
That's true. He's got a son now. We actually get to see him raise a child. I don't know if that's
what I've been waiting. We already saw that in The Pacifier, and honestly, I think it's better.
No.
He raises multiple kids in The Pacifier.
Yeah,
he babysits.
He doesn't babysit them well enough. One of them thinks he has boobs. He just doesn't know what he's doing. Lets the kids play Mortal Kombat. They're dumb. Oh,
I like him in The Last Witch Hunter. I think this is where we're just indifferent on.
Bloodshot. Then
I like
are we like fighting?
I'm above Bloodshot. I think we're above Bloodshot. Bloodshot has, I think, more variety.
Okay, that's at least.
I don't know. It's so tough at this point. I can hear an argument for Bloodshot, Last Witch Hunter, Fast Five. It's definitely above Pacifier. We're in the part where we're like, if this is the A tier, we're in the A tier. You know what I mean? Like, because I liked The Last Witch Hunter more than you did. And I think Fast Five I like generally as a movie, and I'm trying to remember like his stuff in that, because The Rock's in that one, right? So
The Rock is the villain, a villain, like a John Cena type of villain. He's not the main villain, but he is.
I did like his stunts with John Cena. I think that might be the best stunts he's done in his, I would say, in Vin Diesel's older career. So there's that he's still doing it. I don't think either of them did had stuntmen. So for those scenes, at least. I say we just put it above Bloodshot. It just feels right, at least for me. And then
I need to think about Last Witch Hunter more. Last Witch Hunter, he was charismatic. He also was serious. We did get stuff in the past of him losing people. Got to see him not trust someone and then trust them. A witch, nonetheless.
It's a different role completely than what he's done in the past.
The Dominic Toretto stuff.
I feel like what I've seen in this film is what I've seen before. I guess that's what
I'm kind of heading to. It's kind of wearing thin, because even though there's a new angle, Long Lost Brother,
he's not doing it. He's not the one really doing the emotion there.
Right.
He's only being mad at him most of the time until the very end where he's like,
I'll give you a second chance.
Someone give me a... Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we didn't really like that because we don't think and he is the producer, so he might have had a say in that scene.
Okay. Sure. Number 12, sure. Fast F9, The Fast Saga. Underneath The Last Witch Hunter at number 11, and above Bloodshot, last month's episode, which is at number 13. Number 13. Number 12, F9, The Fast Saga. There you have it, folks. Vin Diesel has been ranked in every single Dominic Toretto role so far.
So what are our rankings then for Dominic Toretto right here? Do we have
as Dominic Toretto rankings?
We don't have another column, but if we did, what would it look like? We have if you're just pulling it straight from there, you have The Fast and the Furious, Fast and Furious, Fast and Furious 6.
I'm working on it.
Furious 7, Fast 5. Then scroll down, The Fate of the Furious. Is that all of them? And then Fast and Furious Crossroads, I guess.
Yeah, and
Fast and Furious Supercharged and See You Again, if you really want to include those.
Vin Diesel, Dominic Toretto's impact and performance in terms of movies is as follows: 1, 4, 6, 7, 5, 9, 8, 3.
That feels right though. So I think we did, despite where maybe it is on the Vin ranking, I feel like that feels right.
Despite all my rage.
I'm still just a Vin in a cage. Yeah,
Yep.
right.
Still just ready to rage is what I thought the line was as a kid. Oh, Smashing Pumpkins. They have a Christmas song, apparently.
Oh, really?
Or there's someone that sounds like him that was in a Christmas song in a thing I watched recently that we might be talking about soon.
Santa Claus is coming to town. That's what I would imagine. It sounds like.
Wow. Vin Diesel has been ranked in totality up until now, with the exception of I Am Groot and Thor Love and Thunder, which
and we did miss two that we literally couldn't find anywhere.
So, okay, what he means by that is TV shows he directed a couple things on and wrote a couple things on. He was also in 2 documentaries, not in, but like produced. We might talk about those some far down the line. But let's talk about the future of the show right now. So, he is in Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, which is already out. Came out on Thanksgiving. We are going to do an episode on that. Now, we didn't do a review on it because of how close it is to being caught up. And we are just going to do the full normal episode because we did a review on F9 because we weren't going to be nearly caught up. We just caught up. And we did that over a year ago. We did a review on Bloodshot. We just caught up. We did a review on Thor Love and Thunder because that was several months ago. And now we are technically caught up with that. You know what I mean? So we're Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. We're like, okay, that's going to be the next regular episode. However, when we do it is kind of up in the air because supposedly he is in the sequel to James Cameron's Avatar, which comes out in the middle of December, called Avatar: Way of Water.
It's like the 16th or something. Yeah,
like
it's like
smack dab in the middle. Yeah. Now, he is listed as being in the film. He is not in any promotional material. He is not in any confirmed casting since the initial...
He's not even on IMDb. So, like...
He was in IMDb, I thought. That was the thing.
I didn't see him last time I checked, but...
We're confused.
Back in the day, it was rumored. Yeah, we're confused
whether
or not he's in this film.
If he is in the movie. Some things are adamant that he is, but no concrete information from the film itself confirms that he's in it. So what we're doing is playing it by ear. If Vin Diesel is in Avatar: Way of Water, then the next episode will come out in the middle of this month, as we will watch the film, then do a review on it, along with Holiday Special of Guardians of the Galaxy, a 2-for-1. If he is not an Avatar, we're going to wait till January 1st to do an episode on Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special.
We're going to do a Christmas episode, basically, after Christmas.
Regardless of when the episode is, and regardless of if Avatar is in it or not, we are still going to rank and review, well, at least rank, the stuff that we have not yet put on this list, which is I Am Groot, Thor Love and Thunder, and I think that's it. I think it's the only things that we were missing. Those 2 Groot things will be added to the list with the holiday special whenever we do that episode. So, keeping people in the loop here, it'll be a video like this, and then the future of the show after that will kind of be like whenever he does a movie, we'll do a thing.
I can't believe we did it, by the way. I mean, I won't say we did it. I think the finish line is like a step away. Like we see it.
Right.
We could step on it right now, but we're just going to wait on the Avatar thing. So for me, I don't want to say we did it, but we did do it in the sense that we did catch up. I remember like you're even like halfway through this, we're like, damn, are we like when are we going to catch up?
Yeah.
Like it feels so far, but also doesn't feel it. Like we're like there's not that many, but like we're in the 2010s now. Like we're getting there.
Yeah.
I remember
Yeah.
that. I remember when you first pitched it. We're like, we tried to plan it out. Like we were gonna get it. It was around I think June or July of this year that we were like, yeah, we'll be done by then.
Yeah.
But then there was more stuff that came out.
And
like
we had to
Iron
split
Group.
certain things up as well. Like certain
Yeah,
things
there was,
were going
there
to
was
be.
a couple we needed to move around, but
Yeah.
but it is crazy to like that.
We
To
kind of
our
stuck to a
knowledge-
plan and it worked.
Yeah, and to our knowledge, I don't care what anyone else says. We did it. We've seen every Vin Diesel thing that we can possibly see.
Yeah.
We went to his obscure stuff.
Yeah.
Like out of all the actors, you know, I've maybe seen a lot of you know, Jake Gyllenhaal movies or whatever the fuck. Maybe not on purpose necessarily, but just happened, or like Tom Cruise, whatever it is, right?
Tom Cruise.
But like we picked Vin Diesel because we had like an arc that we wanted to see that was if it was there. And I think we should wait until next episode to maybe talk about that because he still has a couple more things to tell us. Maybe
Yeah, he's not dead, and he's still acting. So there will
Yeah.
be more episodes, even past Guardians. But
But I feel like I think there is a general consensus that we could say about. We'll wait until
yeah.
it's not that exciting. It won't be like a huge reveal, but you know what I mean.
And maybe
Just-
by then we'll have a bigger plan on if we're going to be doing special episodes that are like topic based. Maybe, you know, we might do something where if we know there's a good distance between new movies, we'll just pick a month and throw a random special episode. We might do something fun, maybe more of a topic like, what does Vin Diesel mean to you? And you can write in. Maybe we'll do something like that. So,
And if we
yeah,
other idea, huge
Okay.
long shot. Don't think it'll ever happen, but I'll just say if somehow people can make it work, or you know someone you're listening, you know a way.
I see. Where
If
you're
you can
going.
get Vin fucking Diesel on this show, that'll be it. Then we'll be done. I think because then we can ask him all the questions that we want, and we could give him our rankings and see if he agrees with us. I think that'd be huge. To be like, oh, you're totally wrong on Triple X or whatever.
I hope
or
he
e-
disagrees with us, so then we can pitch to him. Okay, prove us wrong. Watch all the movies with us. Let's do the whole show over again. We have him be a co-star. We can feel like, yeah, you really fucked up with The Rock.
I don't think we would bring that up, but
Probably not. Probably not.
but
Unless
no,
we're
but
super
for,
homies.
but for real, like if like, you know, it would be even cool if we like somehow got someone who like worked on set, you know, to tell us like, was it really as bad as The Rock says? Like that, I would be down like that kind of shit. Like if you know someone or you are that person, hit us up because like shit. that the kind of topics you're talking about would be really interesting if we had some more background to like part of his lore. But
regardless, though, we will see you next episode, whenever it is, whether it's the middle of
damn,
December
this
or
episode's
January
longer
1st.
than episode's longer than the actual movie.
Oh, most of our episodes are longer than the thing we talk about. Come on. There's a lot to talk about, you know. We don't have the luxury of editor. Well, we could edit it, or not though. We could have edited down cut scenes, bonus Blu-ray content disc full of all of the cut scenes from these episodes. There we
Maybe
go.
one of
That's
these
an
days,
idea.
another episode idea we could do is do a watch along as a special too. That's another idea.
Yeah,
maybe
we'll
we
stream
pick-
it or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows? We'll see you next episode, whether it's next month or in a couple weeks, for another episode of the Chronicles of Diesel. You can follow us in the meantime on Twitter at Sonic Movie Show. Follow me on Twitter at Ethan Absolutely. Devin's on Twitter at CursonaFun. Let us know what you thought on F9, the Fast Saga, the Beef Watch. The next movie is our idea of the villain structure potentially in 2 films. Does that make sense? What do you want to see? And actually, this is a big, important question. What do you want to see in a future non-review episode of this show, a special episode? What kind of topics do you want? Write in questions if you have any. Write in your opinions. Write in topic ideas. Let us know. We'd
If you're
like
on
to actually know.
you can drop in the comments. You don't have to go to Twitter if you don't want to. But
Absolutely.
we're also on Instagram and TikTok recently.
That's right. At Sonic Movie Show on all of those things. We'll see you next time for another episode. Bye-bye.
What is it with you? What do you got, a death wish or something?
That's what it takes. I just want to race. died, remember?